hello, and all you misfits out there to tonight's Midnight Ranting argument from design? Where tonight we are discussing... Seems a little sus. Not saying that they are the alien, but where we're discussing the argument from design or the teleological argument for the existence of God. Oh my. So come join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for some designed fun. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank you all out there on the interwebs, especially those in chat. If you have recently gotten your vaccine or booster shot, now is the time to activate your 5G chip. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, I always like it when it matches so clean. Gotta have my numbers readjusted.
The reptiles have fully taken over.
That's right. Now that we have the chips implanted, it just makes everything so easy. I like going over doors and just going up, down, open, close, open, close. Makes me feel like a Jedi. Thank you, lizards. Thank you. Hi, Gizmo.
That's actually not Gizmo. That's my girlfriend's cat named Tia.
Hi, Tia. We support all kitties on this channel. Aww.
Yeah.
All kitties, puppies, really any other animal, including humans. We're a fan of humans, too.
Wait a minute. On the stream. You mean we're animals? Are you saying I'm an animal?
Are you telling me that I'm a monkey? In that case, while they're still monkeys. I know. It's hard to imagine, but remember... lifting up, not pushing down. Lifting up. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you're feeling fancy, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Oh my, that's right. If you have a top hat and a monocle or just a cute dress, then hit that bell icon so you can get reminders to join our live streams. Hi, interwebs. We are a skeptic channel, including the two schmucks you see hosting. I'm contractually obligated to finish this tune. However, after our opening statements on the topic, we will be opening up the floodgates, or rather,
are you sure that's a good idea?
Open mic. Oh, let me tell you, I don't know, but I think my body is ready. Okay. So anyone can say what's on their mind about the topic. We'll also give everyone the chance to have their own opening and closing statements. Atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are. Just, on my sheets, on the flags. Just, jeez. Wait till I do the shake weights after the show. Yes. Grab a good bag of popcorn. That's a good. I love popcorn. This housekeeping is sponsored by our Patreons over at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content. Woo-hoo! Like, it triggers the Abrahamic religions sometimes when there are other religions. KO champ, pagan.
Has that effect on them, yeah. So much does, though. So much.
Yes, so much, unfortunately, since just like being in a different denomination often also triggers, which I find highly fascinating because they often just push the atheists to the sideline. And they're like, someone has a different... Are you telling me they disagree on page 147? I love a page 147. All right. We're going to have a little debate.
Well,
so the atheists
you see, Amy, when you've got apparent contradiction, I mean, you've got dozens of verses on this side and dozens on that side, and they both say directly opposing things, but what you have to realize is they're actually all saying the same thing. It just looks like it to us that there's a conflict.
James, now you're making sense. Hold on.
Take all the verses that say
together.
Salvation comes by faith, and then all the verses that say salvation does not come by faith alone, but it really does come from faith alone, but it doesn't come from faith alone.
James, it's like 50-50. It's like when you're trying to add butter and the recipe says to add just a pinch, and you kind of add a whole cup. Sometimes
if you're watching Gordon Ramsay, Chef Ramsay, and he says add just a tiny bit of butter, and he throws like 2 sticks in. Yeah, just add a bit of butter, and he throws 2 whole sticks of butter.
James, I will say that's about the right amount of butter.
I'm not going to disagree.
I can't even do. That meal is despicable, and he always throws a towel. That's my favorite. Is he always has the towel here?
Gordon
that he
Ramsay.
Throws. Yes, like he is finally. You think that is a souffle?
Come on.
Come on!
That's raw! Come on!
Speaking of cooking, our lovely frying pan of non-belief, the Atheist Roundtable, and really the Atheist Network Group, Tang Gang! Yo!
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of, because we survived the apocalypse, thanks science, are you looking for better community? Are you looking for better conversations? Well, then you better get your butt to better the convention.
Better conspiracy theories.
Better conspiracy. And I will say that's what I love about the skeptic community is that we entertain conspiracy theories, I think, more than anyone. We just generally don't believe many of them. But that's exactly the gut feeling that I got when I realized that I'm a ghost hunter in that debate with the ghosts. It's like, I want to look for ghosts. I'm trying to find them too. I don't believe there's real and there's no good evidence for them, but I'm sure hunting them. Need to get a Ouija board.
But if they were real, you would want to know about them, right?
Yes, I would, absolutely. It says order Domino's. Damn it.
You really felt like Pizza Hut, because let's face it, nobody out pizzas the Hut. I mean, come on. Those don't know what they're talking about, right?
That guy that ate pizzas for not Little Caesars, Papa John's, the week or two after he got fired, he's like, I've been eating the pizza for 30 days. They don't make it like they used to anymore. He was sweating. And now there's lots of Joker memes out there with him.
And this is Mia coming in front of the camera now.
Hi, Mia. Yay. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll say it as often as possible. It's really, you don't normally see this, but these are the people who create the show, who are running the behind the scenes.
The man behind the curtain.
The man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just you gotta have the real. It reminds me of the song. Speaking of cats getting out, okay. The True Overlords and a Broadway play. I'm thinking of something, either that or pasta. But sending love to us from the Atheist Roundtable and Tang Gang.
Tang Gang.
And just because now I have to think about it,
He's a
either
big
Jesus
cat.
is a myth because hashtag Oz, and prophets don't exist because hashtag me. Really? Prophets
are
one-on-one.
fake news.
It just seems odd that God has to have one-on-one conversations with very
They
select
wrote it
groups of people.
down. They wrote it down. So
James, I
mean,
keep on forgetting. It's in a book somewhere. There's a book for that.
they wrote it down.
They wrote it down. There we go.
So it wasn't just one witness; it was 500.
500.
Even though we just have one account of it, it was really 500.
And would 500 people lie, James, even if it was from one source material, even if it was from the book that was saying that the book was true, James? Would they lie?
The book that says the Earth is 6,000 years old and flat. I mean, if that doesn't ring credibility to you, I don't know what does.
I don't know what would. And it doesn't even have to be a lie. It just has to be that they were making shit up and they didn't even know they were wrong because, I don't know, they didn't know germs were real. So we got to cut them some slack. The people we don't cut slack are the people who still believe it now.
Or the blatant frauds. Hi, Kenneth Copeland.
By my DVD, seminar number 5, I can figure out and tell you why evolution is wrong. It has to do with a 15-foot whale, and sending so much love also to Ian Davenport. Ian. James, does this look designed to you? It has all this. Has all these arteries out of here. I don't know. I can't imagine any other way that a heart would come about except for an omnipotent creator of the universe.
Well, apparently they didn't make those arteries big enough for the 21st century. I'm just saying, because them hearts don't seem to be lasting like they used to.
I will say one of my favorite things to point out the naturalistic fallacy is heart surgery, because heart surgery is not natural. Just the classic example that natural does not equal good. Sometimes natural is good. You want natural mineral water or something, but generally speaking,
it's not always good. Yeah,
not always. Sometimes
open heart surgery, not natural. Brain surgery, no. You would die if you had a brain tumor before.
But if your doctor tells you to just go running to get healthier, that's natural. You can do so naturally. Some natural things are good for you, but it doesn't mean that it has to be.
But we really have to remember to give all the glory to God, because it's really it's really God at the end of the day, because it doesn't matter if you're in 100 pieces after that car accident. If God wants you to live, they're going to be able to put you back together. And it doesn't matter if you stub your toe and God wants you to get infected from that and die, your ass is dead. So it really is all glory to God.
And that's the thing. If you get in a car accident and you live, it was God's blessing. But if you killed the guy, that was also God works in mysterious ways. So you just can't. It's hard to tell sometimes who is God playing for. He's the good guy or the bad guy. As you can tell in our often skeptic Bible studies, you never know which team he's playing for. I guess Team God, but if you were a human, I wouldn't know which team I'd want to be on.
Servant of God. Thank you, Kathy.
Servant of God. And when we hear claims like the one we're going to hear tonight, like the argument from design, which has caused us, specifically in the United States, so much trouble. Holy moly, just argument. Try to teach the controversy. I just need 10 minutes with your kids and you'll be understand where I don't want science, not I want the science taught in the classroom. It's just evolution is a religion. You understand? And I just don't want
those
religion
claims,
taught in school.
those claims
Thanks,
kind
man.
of make somebody go.
And those claims, thank you,
Yeah.
make some of us, you can see my blood pressure rising, and it makes a grumpy old cuss go because holy moly, if you think the world is 6,000 years old, my lordy, I just don't understand how you get anything. I don't get anything cosmology related. I don't get star formation, planet formation. I do not, except for you're going to tell me the quick bits about Genesis. But once we start going into Genesis, like, okay, how did he make light? He says, and then there was light. Okay, how does that
but
work?
he is light.
Replicate that? Oh, he is
He
light.
is light. God
Oh,
is
he's like
light.
a glow stick. That's fantastic.
A 15-foot long glow
Everyone,
stick.
quickly! Someone drop their lens. Bring God over here so we can find it. God, sure, just bring me along. I'm just a flashlight.
Right, because he didn't make the sun till like, what was it, day 4, day 5, and how the hell could anybody see or do anything without light? But don't worry about it because God was light.
Which is
Of
such
course,
a weird
yeah.
claim. That type of claim reminds me when they say God can't lie. And it's always like, oh, honey, is that what he's telling you? Sure, can't lie. And that's a superpower somehow. And they're like, if God cannot lie, but then his lie would be, he would say that day is night, and then it would be, as if they then give superpower to words. That would suck. That almost is like a guy that's stuck. He'd just be like, is it pancakes? Raining pancakes? Oh God, it's raining pancakes. And then all of the floor was lava. And oh my lordy, I guess myself, the floor is lava.
That's how Ryder, my dog, is, because he does not like to be on the floor. He just jumps from one bed to the next. So in his world, the floor is lava.
Well, I can understand that. And probably the vacuum, as it is for many pets' mortal enemies.
The vacuum or the dryer. He does not like the dryer.
The dryer. Well, the dryer is also a tough level to beat. You need to bring your puppy shield in to slay.
But you know what claim kind of makes them go that we might hear tonight is the puddle analogy, which actually boils their blood, but is just so perfect to sum up these silly design arguments that they like to make. It just succinctly just sinks their ship, and they don't like it because of that. But we're going to give it to them anyway.
Because it does look like a brown butterfly does look like it fits in among brown trees. But there's a reason for that, and it tends to be more gruesome, or about as equally gruesome as a god. Nature is a bitch. That all the butterflies that didn't match that description got eaten. All the blue and red ones stuck out.
All the giraffes with really short necks couldn't reach the leaves. They died. Only the ones with long necks. You mean, wait a minute, wasn't God just sitting there? No, I think I'll make that neck a little bit longer, oh, perfect. There you go. Stop. Got it.
Yeah, it's just like Venus flytraps. You know, they had to adjust themselves because there wasn't enough nutrients. We go to extreme lengths when we don't have food. And so that happens over slow periods of time. Another thing that they can't understand, which is any sort of time over a few thousand years, which is crazy for me because once again, I don't understand how you get stars. I don't understand how you get solar systems and
according to Ken Hovind,
everything.
we've never seen a star form. And according to Otangelo, it's impossible because gravity doesn't act on gases.
Gravity. That's
So
right.
you can
Those
never
attack
have
on
a star
gases.
form from gravity.
It's a role play.
Thanks, Randolph.
Woohoo! That's right. Let me send in love to Randolph and everybody in chat.
Everybody.
Feel free to tag us in chat, James W. or myself, Amy Newman. But we are also sending love to 3 princesses in 1, Diana Smith. Woo-hoo. Thank you
Diana,
so very much.
long-time Patreon, yes.
Because, well, the skeptic community actually believes in, what were they called again? Women? Wow. You mean they're not treated as chattel like they are in this, they have a book for that? Amazing. Amazing. But thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you. You mean we can't put women in vending machines and just, vend them out?
I don't know why, but that sounds like a Futurama episode. I have no... But no, I don't think that
like Mormonism in the future. Like if Mormonism took off and we lived in a world where everybody was Mormon 1,000 years from now, yeah, you'd have women in vending machines.
Get their own planets. You just have women vending machines. Well, you know what Joseph Smith said. Just look inside your hat and the stones will tell you wisdom. Or
he gave them back.
You're huffing.
He gave them back to the angel after he decoded them, because he didn't need them anymore. He gave them back to the angel. Yeah.
James, if I had a nickel for every time that an angel gave me prophetic knowledge, I would not be able to afford a gumball at a dollar store. Anyway, sending love to Pat Lowinger, who
was impressed with our start time tonight.
2 awesome episodes of Talk Skeptic to Me. Go check out the archaeological examination of sacredness and how things come to be sacred. And spoiler alert, which is still always going to be my favorite, is that we oftentimes, or we as humans, just find the old religion, come in, paint with the new religion, give it a new set of colors, and bam! Sacredness. But also, we took a historical look at the origins of Halloween. Spooky, spooky, spooky.
And also, Amy dressed up.
That's right. I love any reason to dress up or celebrate. I will not fast with you, but I'll break fast. Sounds great. Anything with food or that I get to wear fancy clothing, count me in.
Amy,
I don't care which
going out as
religion it's coming from.
Female Gandalf.
Thou shalt not pass.
Wait a minute.
Kind of cute. Okay, fine.
Wait a minute. That's not her staff. That oh
my.
This
is how I make my money, James. This is how me and Satan, we run actually a double shift. You should see him in a G-string.
Bob Larson is here to tell you, not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. Maybe tomorrow. Possibly. Check back.
I don't know if we have an opening. Maybe 6, 9 o'clock.
Maybe 6. I'll try and get you in 6. That sounds good. Love those things with the horns. He always dresses up with decorates his horns lately. They've been pink. Anyway,
yeah,
we have, and all of the skeptics here are just, we're kind of looking for a little bit of empirical evidence. That's all Neil Pastel and all the skeptics here are asking for. We're just kind of like, hey, it's nice that you have some philosophical arguments and that you syllogismed all over the place, but we would actually appreciate it if you took your butt into the lab. A little bit.
Huh.
A little bit?
You can't test God. You can't put God to the test.
Just like God can never be made fun of. Except this is my rendition of God. Blah, 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 blah. That was my rendition of God the Clown. But I guess you can make fun of God? Oh. No, you can. Okay, good.
Do your rendition of God saying, he shall surely be put to death for the guy caught picking up sticks.
Hold on. I got it. Hey, you're going to be killed for picking up sticks, and I'm God. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Ha. Oh, also, this is Grandpa, and if you tap on this stick, I'm also going to, or rock twice, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you a lot of times.
I'll bring you back to life just to kill you again, because why not? It's fun. I'm not a serial killer or anything, but...
Look, James, at least in the Old Testament, he lets you die. He is pretty evil, though. But no, that we're going to have to get up to the New Testament to where he burns you. How long did he burn you again? Does he burn me and you? All these non-believers?
It's going to be forever, yeah.
Forever? Really? Do you have a coupon? Yeah. Oh, man. Just seems like a while.
Yeah. After roasting in God's oven for 800 quadrillion years, we'll still have just been... The fun will just be getting started. We'll just be getting warmed up.
The fun will just begin, James?
Yep.
Oh, man. My favorite is like after 2 trillion years, it starts to tickle. Fun fact. Anyway.
You tell the devil, hey, can you stick those horns a little to the right?
I know. Every trillion years, you get to ask if he can give a little directional
adjust the horns
change.
A little bit.
Adjustment. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I forget who said, another comedian said that hell just couldn't work because there would be no amount of torture that humans wouldn't eventually fetishize. So, good luck, demon. But I never understood Satan to be good with because he always seemed like he was either working for God or he should be on our side. Like, we should get down there and he should be like, you got it right. There was a God, but you were on my team the whole time. So welcome to the party. There's like a 4K TV over here. We got wings over here. I don't know.
Dildos in every size you could ever imagine, Amy.
Every size. You
could ever dream of.
An ample amount of weights for Kent Hovind to do gravity experiments with.
As opposed to doing them on his wives, which would be,
Well, exactly. That's I always like to view him as a professor. And so he was just working at home. He's a teacher, a science teacher.
A doctor, as a matter of fact.
In fact, he even used to have a nickname. I think they used to call him K2Z47873. What were we talking about? Anyway, sending love to, wow, that Earth looks thick. I would even say, I hate to use this word because I know it can be triggering, but I would say round.
The way round. From that angle, yeah.
From this angle with the fisheye eyes.
And then the feet stick out there a little bit, but I mean.
But I found something flat, and so if you think about that. That's really our whole existence in a nutshell.
Is that anatomically correct?
Oh, baby, is it? Just the right amount of meat, James. Just the right amount of meat. Though I'm not hating against
medium rare.
I'm not hating against the flat. Look, it had its time for thousands of years. We looked outside. Once again, we did not know germs existed, so I'm not blaming them. Our ancestors, who are very well in the ground and don't come back from the dead. Thank you. But only the people now, once again, that have had some, apparently, K through 12 education or some shit. Some people even went to college, and they're going to sit here and tell us 6,000. Sure. No, it makes sense.
Well, you add up all these dates in the Old Testament, and you crunch those numbers, and we found out 99% of actual universe history didn't happen. It's fake news.
Well, and I will say that is what pisses me off. To once again, not to get political, but any part of me that values any form of tradition or giving thanks to our ancestors and the people that came before us and history, that was the past 100,000 years. Okay? They lived the hard life. Okay? They died at 35 from a tooth infection. Okay? For us.
Quite often.
So people did die so that we could sit here and be cushy. And it was the past 100 to 200,000 years. And to erase all of them, like, I know they are not trying to be disrespectful, but it really is disrespectful to the human tradition as a whole, since we know that they lived and died for us.
They were humans.
Literally, not even metaphorically, literally. Oy, oy, oy. As I think one of my ancestors used to say, oy vey. Anyway, we're sending so much love to Dave Garr and also the lead hyena of the pack, who joins my lovely two cats that I figured I'd be wearing for, as I hit myself in the nose, intelligent design, creationism versus, I want to call nature debate, whatever you want to call it. The lead hyena of the pack, Scott Duke.
Hey, Scott.
Woo! Da, da, da. Because I love cats. Hyenas are closer related to cats than they are to dogs. Not completely separated, but they are fantastic, matriarchal, and they got a bad rap on Lion King, ladies and gentlemen. A bad rap. Absolutely adorable.
Tigers, lions, jaguars.
Oh, I love tigers. Everyone loves tigers. But see, they get the good PR. Cheetahs are pretty good. I think the lions are the most, but I love lions. So they're freaking amazing. In fact, I love big cats because they're so freaking smart. But yes, sending so much love to apparently.
Thank you for all those eggplants.
And Scott Duke. Woohoo! Oh my. I'm just looking at chat. That is the right amount of hearts and dick plants. I just want to say eggplants. Where's my mind? The right amount of hearts. Woohoo! And we're also sending love to our thespian, skeptic Bible study inspired skull, because sometimes the Bible gets a little, thou shalt not complain, or thou shalt die by quail. And then I don't even know why I'm holding this, because God clearly has some like tendencies. He is ready to take names and kick butt.
Didn't our last chapter have something about posting up heads of people who rebelled? I think something Something like that.
Well, I will say our last chapter definitely had a man grabbing a javelin and shoving it through an interfaith couple. So that was neat.
A human shish kebab, almost.
Indeed. And, it just goes to show you, I think you were talking about this earlier, and it's going to be an up-and-coming skeptic and ranting, is just tribalism. Holy moly. If that is not the problem with religion in general, because it can give a community and a support system, but man, when you are not in that group, you may end up becoming, as James said, human shish kebab. Whew. But that's what happens when you promote things like chosen people. I hate that concept. I dislike the Christians may have hell, but the chosen people thing has got to go. There are no chosen people. It is just people. There is no one coming to save us, ladies and gentlemen. We got to save each other. That's all we got. And
no, man, the Prince of Peace is coming. He'll make everything good. Don't worry about it, Amy.
Oof.
He went from the God of War to the Prince of Peace.
Yeah, exactly. He got therapy. He saw a shrink. Came out better. Until the burning forever part. But just the cat gets pushed over to the side.
But that's not for us. That's for them. We don't burn forever.
That's right.
It's good to be on our side.
James, you're not going to be roasting and toasting. You're going to be worshiping Yahweh forever.
Yes. On my knees?
On my knees. Baby, where else? Where else? And all right, last but certainly not least, Rachel Holland. Woo! Boom, 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 boom. And of course, where would be, and even would be,
Rachel,
without speaking of biblical slavery. Because, James, did you know the Bible doesn't condone slavery? We learned that from, I think, P. Mars and others.
Penis Mars, yeah. He did say that it was just a works program.
It was just a work. That's right. It's the good slavery.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you don't have the financial resources to support your kids, you can sell them to somebody who does. And then, hey, the person you sell them to, they will have to feed, clothe, house them. Otherwise, they'll lose on their investment. So, yeah.
Exactly. Technically speaking, the slave owner is doing them a favor. They're feeding them, and there's clothing, and they get to sleep somewhere, some shit. It's great.
Sometimes, yeah. And don't worry, your 13-year-old daughter that you sold, he has to feed, clothe, house her, and he has to have sex with her. If he stops having sex with her, he has to release her. So he has to provide her with sex. So,
but James, these were the morals given down by God, okay? You can't argue with God unless you kill a guy or some shit. Then apparently you get to change the rules, which I find so funny. No, it totally.
Gay men.
Gay men. Or ramen if you're feeling hungry. But thank you to all of our Patreons.
Thanks, guys.
You enable us to make all this fun content along with viewers like you. And all right, before
Even
we
Skywalker.
go into the open mic, woohoo! Send in so many hearts.
Black Female Atheist was out there. Materialist Dan, X Music.
Up? Black Female Atheist, Randolph Richardson, Coffee, Materialist Dan,
Mark Reed,
Tink, Doorknob Head, X Music, Mary Costin, woohoo! Send in all sorts of hearts. and brains. But before we get into the open mic,
Uh-oh. Y'all in
dun,
trouble now.
also jazz hands. Argument from design. Over the millennia, there have been many arguments for God. Ontological, cosmological, and otherwise, including one that was popularized in the 1700s from Thomas Aquinas by someone named William Paley. Known formally as the Teleological Argument, ooh, fancy. Most people know its better public relations name, intelligent design. Ooh, sounds way better. Focus grouped.
Gay better.
Exactly. William gave us an analogy to think about. Suppose you were walking along a beach. Sadly, no margaritas or anything. Picking up, and you stumble across a watch. Oh my. Picking up the watch in our hand, we intrinsically know that this was made by a watchmaker with some form of design. The universe, they then argue, was created in the same manner, only by God. This, of course, breaks down when we realize that in a God world, everything is a watch. Yes, the watch is a watch, but the sun is a watch. The stone is a watch, and every grain of sand that just fell is also a watch. A watch watching a watch on a watch. Whew. That's a lot to watch. The difference between an object we make with a goal and a human is that we come about naturally via bumping uglies. A bottle was made with the teleological purpose of containing liquid. It fits into our hand because we made it that way. However, animals, like all life, share a mix of genes that are vetted through natural selection. Is our eye so amazing that it had to form from design? Well, no. Yes, our eye is fantastic. However, there are worse and better eyes. Our eyes have a blind spot. And we could have infrared vision. Like some sort of cool android. My last point is nature is messy, whereas designs tend to appreciate simplicity. Or at least good design work while often managing complexity is quite simple. After all, Would you want a complex way to get into your car or one that's simple? I think the answer is clear. So when theists or creationists bring up the argument from design, I just don't see it. What I do see is the most wonderful chemical reaction on Earth. Thank you. And all right, with that, how are you, James? And would you like to design yourself some fun?
Design my way out of some problems, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, thank you for that opening, Amy. And I think you really encapsulated this issue pretty well, is that we're inferring design because we see things that are designed, we know things that are designed, and it's kind of easy for us to then look at everything around us and think that it was all designed. But that might have made sense centuries ago or millennia ago, but I don't really think there's a good excuse to think that way anymore, because if you go back 100 years ago, the entire universe was thought to be our galaxy. And while that's huge, really big, it's only a small fraction of what we actually know that would be out there. So then when we discovered that actually that nebula up there, that's not a nebula at all. It's an entire other galaxy, and it's actually millions of light years away. And it's also got billions, if not trillions, of stars in it. And the Christians will tell you, oh, well, the Bible says that the heavens declare the glory of God. So therefore, God he put all that stuff up there just to let us know how badass he is and how great he is. And look at the creation week. It says, and he made the stars in one little sentence. Like, he is so powerful. That was like nothing for him. But that's because those people really didn't have a concept of what the universe was. They thought the stars were just lights inside their imaginary dome that Ken Hovind is talking about. They had no idea that they were balls of gas held together by gravity, fusing hydrogen into heavier elements progressively, many of them billions or trillions of light years away. Well, the trillions we'll never see, because there's also lots of galaxies out there that are beyond our horizon. We'll never see them because space is expanding so fast that they'll never get to, the light from them will never get to us. And you think about the glory of God, there's galaxies out there he made that we'll never even see. There's going to be a point in time when it comes where we won't be able to see any other galaxies because everything will be racing away from us faster than the speed of light, based on what we know right now. Do you really think all this kind of fits the universe as we know it, and think about the size, scope, and scale of the universe and think this is all here for us? We are the grand purpose of all this. All this shit is made for us. It seems pretty silly, doesn't it, that we inhabit an infinitesimally small amount of real estate in the universe and it's all here for us? Well, seems kind of silly. And the Andromeda Galaxy is racing towards us. Well, I mean, racing, it's coming at us about 70 miles an hour. It'll be a few billion years before it gets here. Will Jesus have come back by then, before our two galaxies merge? Because most of the other galaxies are racing away from us because they're so far that the redshift is too great for any gravitational effect to bring them closer to us, but not Andromeda. We are in a collision course with Andromeda. It's coming. Now, what does that have to do with a god? This goes to show that if you really look at all that and you think all this is here for us and this was designed by a god, I don't know what to tell you, but it really doesn't seem convincing to me. And then we can go into, that's the scale of the universe. We can go into the arguments about design for life and all the elements of bad design and all the things that creationism, intelligent design really doesn't do a very good job of explaining, that evolution by natural selection does an amazing job of explaining. Evolution, while we don't know everything about it, we don't know everything about everything. We understand a lot about it, and it really works. So thank you guys. Let's bring everybody in and see what everybody thinks. But yeah.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, James. And with that, we are going to go into our open mic session. Feel free to keep on sending your comments
they will.
in, tagging us with your
They
thoughts,
definitely will.
but comments or one-liners at Amy Newman or James W. And the link is now in chat so that you can come join us and say what's on your mind. We will give everyone their own up to 5-minute opener, and we are a skeptic channel, so we implore those with diverse views to join us, along with those that do agree with us. And all right, with that, we already got Randolph and Mark.
Oh boy.
Which means
yes, we
are going into the open mic as we midnight rant on the argument from design.
Hey, Randolph.
What is up, Randolph?
How are you? Another great stream.
Thanks, you
Randolph.
so very much.
Now I'm trying to start a new tradition here.
Okay.
I've suggested it in the chat that maybe at the start of your videos, as you come on, people start posting heart emojis in the chat. I don't know if it'll catch on. I hope it does. I'm going to try.
Well, all I
Just
can
because
say
you like heart
is
so much.
more heart emojis you can give, I am all for it. But I am sending hello to you, both Eddie
Eddie!
And woohoo, Black Female Atheist, and everybody out there on the interwebs. But Randolph Richardson, we are talking the argument from design, something that we have dealt with a lot, I think, unfortunately, in this debate community. They love them some intelligent design. How about you?
I like what Matt Dillahunty said about intelligent design. It's just creationism dressed up in a lab coat. And
indeed.
And then
Pat's trying to start himself a new tradition too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to help Pat. I think he's having some trouble with the emojis there.
Well, when you have things on your mind, you have things on your mind.
I do the same thing. I meant to send my girlfriend a heart emoji. I'd send her a turkey, so now that's the thing. I send her turkeys.
Well, hey, at least it's food. So,
hey,
and what Pat's showing is healthy food. So,
hey, I was gonna say an eggplant is technically food. We're talking about eggplants, right? But yes, Randolph.
Well, thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate it. James earlier mentioned you mentioned about the idea of everything being designed for us as silly, and I think that's an apt description. I've always thought arrogance as well. It's I think perhaps combining them might be best. Silly arrogance. What are your thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would agree with you in that it is an attempt, I think, at this point to cover up what they know is true, which is evolution. Evolution really doesn't take a pot shot at God indirectly.
Right.
But like here, it really does come into conflict in that we know how different organisms form. And so an argument from design really to be scientifically not ignorant would have to be so vague that it's some deistic, pantheistic, not Abrahamic religion.
Right.
We
can't rule out God, but we can rule out the biblical literalist young earth. That version of Christianity we can rule out because of things like evolution.
Given the fundamentally intrinsic nature of science being impartiality, it seems to me that just evolution just kind of rolled out on its own. So, Amy, your point about it not being a pot shot at religion, I think, is correct. It's what we're getting a better understanding of now. As far as the idea of the creationism and intelligent design and people naturally seeing patterns and recognizing patterns and drawing conclusions from this, I think that's probably where a lot of this comes from. They're not able to figure out what it is. There's people who will say, okay, if you can't explain it, then it must be this, and they're taking the default
out of the gaps.
And yeah, they're saying that's the default, and they're totally ignoring the whole idea of the null hypothesis. So I think that's where people stumble and fall and will jump to conclusions instead of just leaving it open and unanswered, because people are more comfortable with having an answer, even if it's a wrong answer, instead of the unknown, because the unknown is an unpredictable factor, and that tends to scare people a lot more. And people don't, they're conditioned to fear the unknown instead of by religions, instead of embracing it and trying to see it as, hey, there's something unknown, there's an opportunity to find something new to investigate and possibly learn more on. Which,
what can we learn more about that?
Which is the approach I prefer, and I think most people I know prefer. But I do know some people who just won't have any of that.
It's the approach.
That's why I say centuries ago they had an excuse more so than today, because the gaps to hide God in were much wider than they are today. So scientific knowledge wasn't nearly what it was today. So there was a lot more room for God. But we only began to expand scientific knowledge when it became acceptable to question what religion taught us.
Yeah.
Because when it was maybe even illegal, maybe you might even get executed for questioning what religion said, we didn't advance. Only when we were able to put religion to the test did we begin to learn.
Intelligent design, I guess, is kind of a response to that. And when you mention about the people, it being illegal to question religion, that's true. Even here in Canada, we had laws forbidding blasphemous libel until about 10 years ago. I signed on to the petition and encouraged others to, and many of them encouraged others to, and somebody else had started this petition in Ontario, but I'm in British Columbia. But we got this law that forbids and mets out a punishment for blasphemous libel. We've got it removed from the legal system here, so it's no longer part of our criminal code as of approximately 10 years ago, when the petition completed and had 3 readings in our parliament and finally got royal assent, and that was great. Even though nobody'd been charged under this draconian law and human rights violation law for the last 100 years, and maybe longer, there was somebody attempting to at one point a little while ago. I heard some reports on since, but they didn't actually proceed with it, but they contemplated and started putting some cases together apparently. But having these kinds of laws removed is very important, because they are anti-blasphemy laws. To me, freedom of expression is a pro-blasphemy law, which I call a blasphemy law. It's and it's important. Yeah, we need these. It is important because not only does it protect atheists, it also protects theists, because then it makes it so that anybody can criticize any religion. And that's so important in a society, to be capable of having the option of being honest with each other and be able to participate in what I call the free exchange of ideas. I don't want to hog up all the time here, so I guess you probably want to...
That is actually perfect timing. Thank you so very much, Randolph.
Thanks, Randolph.
James,
We're
and
going to
thank you
get
both of you.
through two more openers with some fun. We got Mark and Eddie, and then we're going into open discussion. But thank you so very much, Randolph Richardson and Mark Reed. We are Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I hope you are doing well tonight. And what are your thoughts?
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Amy. Hi, how you doing? Hi, James. I do apologize. I haven't been on for a while. I've just been doing my end of year stuff and end of semester stuff, sort of projects and things. So I really do apologize. But I'm back. I finished. So yeah, here we go. It's great to be here, and hello to everybody in the audience who's decided to tune in. So it's fantastic to see you all again. The teleological argument, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's sort of, and I want to talk about development of stuff from sort of an engineering standpoint, because really the argument is that all of this has been designed and engineered because the forms that we see are so good and amazing and stuff, and life is amazing. It's an amazing thing. But you've got sort of top-down development versus bottom-up development, and I'll explain what those are. Sort of top-down is where you set out your, and this is what the teleological argument's basically saying, that the only way to do it is to set out your design and, plot this and that and design all of it, and that's the only way it could have happened. But you've also got bottom-up development, which basically means you get all these simple systems and you kind of just add stuff to it, and simple systems sort of are joined together and make more complex systems and emergent systems by the piecing of all of them together. And it is a perfectly reasonable way to come up with a complex system. And life in general, well, specifically life, it seems more bottom up than top down. It's got all these systems that sort of work together, but they've got flaws and bits and pieces left over. They don't look like something that has been designed from a top down or a stepwise design where you plot everything in advance. And sort of creationists sort of kick the can down the road, and they sort of say, well, some of them say, all of this bottom-up development happens, but the process was designed in the first place. And it's like, well, we've got no evidence for that. And that is, and just pointing to life or to these systems doesn't say they've been designed, because it could have just happened as an emergent process of these natural systems. So that's a really bad argument. And I just want to point to some absolutely terrible designs, especially in the human body, just some shockers. And the first one's really well known. It's the recurrent laryngeal nerve that runs down your throat. It hooks around the aorta arch, so it hooks around the aorta of your heart, and then back up into your head through your neck. Now, in humans, this is a long detour when it could just sort of connect straight up. In a giraffe, it's a 15-foot detour down its neck and then back up for no other reason.
15 feet?
15 feet or 4.6 meters, yes. Because when the sort of the more primitive forms that we evolved from, mostly aquatic creatures, it would connect straight to the gills, but there was still the aorta in the way. As we evolved, it basically got moved down, and the laryngeal nerve went with it, until, like in the case of giraffes, it's a 15-foot detour for no reason whatsoever. It's an amazing inefficiency that sort of says, well, if somebody sat there and designed that life form, like imagine an alien designing a life form, it's going, okay, I've got the DNA, I'm going to design it. They would never, ever do that. It would be such a horrible inefficiency. It's absolutely stupid. Another one is your knee, for instance. If you're playing football or rugby or any of these contact sports, if you get hit sideways in the knee, it's inflexible. Now, if you were designing a creature to be really adaptable, you would put a ball socket on it, like we have on our shoulders, or on our hips. It's a ball and socket. But the knee's not like that. It basically, we have massive problems with our knees. It's a terrible design. If you were designing that, it's much more likely that that's how the sort of two simple systems were pieced together, and you have this thing emerge as a hinge socket rather than a hinge joint rather than a ball and socket joint. Things that will kill you that are bad design, stuff like wisdom teeth, right? A crowding of the jaw. For you to go, okay, well, that was designed. That's a stupid design. If you don't have modern medicine, your wisdom teeth not being able to fit, they can rot and literally kill you. It's such a horrendously inefficient and horrible, thing to put in there. It's ridiculous. The windpipe is an crazily stupid idea. The thing that feeds you oxygen is also the thing that you put solids into, and the chance of choking is absolutely momentous. It's stupid. A lot of people die from just choking on food. What kind of idiot god would go, okay, I'm going to design these things so they have to breathe, and then I'm going to make them put solid things right into the same tube as their breathing hole, and by the way, just happen to kill them occasionally. It's dumb. It's so dumb. An engineer would look at that and just slap you. Like, why would you do that? It's mistakes like this that show us that these are systems that were simple. They had other systems join up to them in a natural, organic way, and then emergent systems came from the unification of these simple systems, and it gets pieced together, like I said, in that bottom-up development. And those are probably, in my mind, some of the biggest torpedoes for the intelligent design. Just the shoddiness of the design and the piecemeal nature of them, the contradictions within them, and the
15-foot torpedoes.
Yeah, and the inefficiencies, incredible inefficiencies. Either God was the worst designer that the world has ever known, or these are just organically growing systems. Yeah, and that's probably all I had to say about the topic. So,
and I'd probably vote for the latter, but
absolutely,
we'll find out, because we got two more people before we go into open discussion. Thank you so very much, Mark. It was great not only to hear back from you, but I need to respond to an email because I know Biblical Account for the Win is waiting for me to respond. We just gotta set that up, and debate me, brah, coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. But Eddie, we are talking. In fact, some people would say we are midnight ranting on the argument from design. I hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts?
Yes, thank you very much. Glad to be back. It's been a while, Amy. Yeah, I think it's probably one of the weakest arguments. Not a fan of any kind of intelligent design, giving, the psychological position of, I'm probably going to mutilate the word. It's, I believe it's apophenia. And, we have a tendency to look for patterns in things, even where there's not seemingly any patterns. We look at the clouds and make characters out of the clouds and things like that. Yeah, it's So given that psychological
Constellations,
disposition, it's to me, it's it's not real compelling. Now, I think we need to separate um, teleological arguments. I think the fine tuning argument, as Luke Barnes puts forth, to me is pretty compelling. But when we go any further and we talk about teleology and biology, and uh, we infer design from the biological world around us, I think it's hard to really look at that and say there is, this designer that designed all these things. I think intuitively, a lot of us, we look at the fact that we take in carbon dioxide and, or take in oxygen, put out carbon dioxide, and plant life takes in carbon dioxide and puts out oxygen. We want to infer that there's, a type of balance to life, but I'm not sure, if you can really make that leap from inferring a balance to someone creating that balance. I've just never really been convinced by intelligent design arguments. I don't think they're very powerful at all. And that's kind of my position on it.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank
I
you
definitely
so very
agree.
much.
It seems like things would reach a natural equilibrium on their own, with or without a god. So, yeah.
And really, except for, unless your bag is to not like evolution, it almost isn't in the it doesn't take out an actual argument from a god, because evolution seems to be factual. And
Yeah. On that note, I myself, I take exactly what seems to be the true science with the age of the earth and evolution, things of that nature. And I don't think they're incompatible with the God existing. I think they're just incompatible with certain interpretations of scripture. As Mark was talking about, I get a lot of, the points that he was making, but I think we have to be careful when we start talking about efficiency, because efficiency denotes, some kind of restriction in how we use the resources within that restriction. That's, what efficiency means. How well are we using those? And if there
Right.
was a creator, I don't know how we could say that there are certain restrictions to what that creator could do. And I don't disagree with a lot of his points. It seems like a lot of the things that especially the wisdom teeth, that was phenomenal, Mark. I really like that. That's one
Thank you.
I've really thought
Eddie, I'd like to delve into that with you once we're past the introductions about the efficiency and restriction stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I was going to say,
Yeah, same.
we're almost there. If that's your last
Thank you,
word,
Eddie.
Eddie, thank you so very much. And we're about to enter into open conversation. Thank you for being here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll hold the rest for open conversation.
Woohoo! And all right, we got Wildheart and Pat, but Wildheart, that's right. Thank you so much for joining us as we midnight rant here on the argument from design. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Thank you very much, first of all, for letting me on. I'm just putting in the private chat. I think the wisdom tooth argument was very good. Basically, that's what most people died from in like prehistory. Neanderthals and that it was problem with the teeth. That's what most people died from. It's just really
Tooth
bad
infection, yeah.
design. Yeah.
Are you a Christian, atheist?
Atheist? Yeah.
Atheist? Okay.
Yeah. I think the design arguments in general is a really bad argument. I actually did a show on my channel the other day. There's actually an argument from bad design, kind of the atheist response to that, going through many of the same things that have been mentioned, the kind of teeth and the throat. You
Laryngeal nerve, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually an argument from bad design against godlike. So I thought that was funny. But I've only been here a short time, so I've not heard a lot of it. So I've not got a lot of comments. So, yeah.
That's okay. Welcome aboard, and thank you for
Wildheart.
joining us.
Good to have you on. Yeah, great to have you on.
Nice to meet
And-
you, Wildheart.
All
Yes,
right, one more person, then we're going into open conversation.
Oh boy,
But
one more.
Pat
We saved the best
Lowinger. That's right. I hope you're doing well on this Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. Like I said, I think it's so funny that they basically had a PR attempt, and now it's intelligent design. So much sexier. But I hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts?
Focus groups.
Well, I think the
Fuck
important
groups.
thing is if you actually start looking at it, intelligent design really is what I call a pig in a dress, right? It is a fundamentally flawed concept from the very beginning. It asserts its premise regardless of evidence, right? And that's the problem. It's we'll take the few hits and ignore all the misses that would disprove our assertion. And then it's doubled down on because it becomes, in some traditions, becomes akin to a attestation of faith, right? Like if you deny intelligent design, are you actually a believer? And let's just use Christianity for example. And that's a problem too, because now it's, in some traditions, a creedal statement of faith. God made everything. You can see the miraculous nature of his creation, and intelligent design is, in effect, a statement of faith. And then so everything else after that breaks down, because one problem with statements of faith is they don't have to be backed up with anything other than, I know we're here with Mr. Brute Factsetti, but I brought up something the other day. A brute assertion is not a brute fact. And they're not synonymous. So it's important to know the distinction between those things. So that's it. I'll sit back and enter the discussion and look forward to having a good time.
I love
Oh,
you, Pat. Thank you for
snap.
the
Good to see you,
plug.
Pat.
Love you. Love you.
Woohoo! Sending love, Pat. And all right, with that gauntlet being thrown down, intellectually, of course, we are going to be moving into our open discussion on Midnight Ranting argument from design. But feel free to keep on sending those comments in by tagging me at Amy Newman or joining our live stream at the link below.
Pig in a dress.
Sounds like a Simpsons episode. Once again, Simpsons did it. I can't help it. But this
Simpsons
is the
did
deck
everything, though.
tonight. Simpsons did it. But then that joke is then a South Park did it, and then it's like Inception.
Wah.
You could almost say it was designed that way.
Oh, it was terribly designed that way.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, Pat, I just wanted to say I am a brute fact, and that's all that matters.
That's awesome. Well, you understand
Can
that
you
wasn't really a
demonstrate that?
challenge. That was just a
I know.
difference between brute facts and brute assertions, right?
Yeah, I got it completely. Anytime I hear brute facts,
Hey,
now,
Atheist Junior.
or my
Sup,
ears perk up.
AJ?
I heard someone put it a little less eloquently as brute fairy tales in the side chat.
Oh
One of your
my.
episodes, yeah.
Ooh.
Shots fired, right?
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, I just, I'm not down with the whole intelligent design thing. I never have. I've never been. It's never been compelling to me. The whole watchmaker analogy and all these things. I just, I don't get it. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but I think they're kind of stretching a bit, because given evolution and the seeming of terrible designs and things of that nature, I'm just like, you have a lot to answer for if you want to say that everything was designed in a creationist kind of way, like 7-day creation or any kind of young earth creation. It's I really don't get. I think that's where personal bias and being married to a specific understanding or worldview.
Well, could I ask you then, Eddie?
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who is this literalist and is just stuck in the mud, so to speak, and is just saying, look, to be a Christian, it has to be 6 days, and then he took a nap on the 7th?
Yeah, that's
6,000 years
actually-
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic question, Amy, because what I do ask these people is, number one, if evolution is true, does that affect who Jesus is or what he did? Number two, is it actually a problem with scripture or your understanding or interpretation of scripture? Because ultimately, and I come from a young earth creationist background, I get how they get to this. So the way that they literally indoctrinate in a lot of these fundamentalist or conservative evangelical churches, if you question the teaching that the pastor's given you, you're questioning the word of God. If you question the word of God, you're questioning God. So they build this kind of false dichotomy there where if you go, and of course they'll, take this line that most scientists are atheists and, it's like poisoning the well.
Which is not true. It's there are lots of scientists who are Christians and from other religions.
Well, they make it a battle.
And very
They
competent
base-
scientists too.
Absolutely, Randolph. And that's one of the things I point out to them. I'm like, look, it's like 60% atheists in the sciences. 40% of them are theists, and most of them are Christians. So how do they jive science with what they believe when they're biologists? They believe in evolution. They believe in all these different things.
I think I have an answer for that. A lot of them will probably compartmentalize it. And when they're doing the science work, they're doing it competently, they're doing it well, they're not invoking God in most cases. And when they're in their personal life, not doing their work stuff, they're doing what they like to do in their personal life, and that's fine.
Right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah,
we should probably get Atheist Junior on, and then we could go back to. We have a couple people.
In fact, we're going to do his opener, and then we will go back into open conversation.
Yeah,
we got Atheist
I do
Junior.
have one thing I wanted to say in response to Randolph. But
okay,
go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go ahead with bringing them on.
Oh, okay, dokie.
I'm
We're
in
going to
No,
bring in.
It's in support of what you said.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Don't worry. I know.
Woo-hoo. Eddie, can you stop being so reasonable? My God.
We don't have reasonable players on here. Come on.
You know,
This is why
this is
I
kind of
constantly get
refreshing.
called a
People usually say this
non-Christian.
to me.
See, and the funny thing is, if Christians were more like you in this country, we wouldn't have to deal with just so much nonsense, so much lawyer battles, so much. Be Christian, celebrate Christmas. I'll celebrate Christmas with you, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you got some eggnog and some good cookies.
$500 million lawsuit against the government.
Jack Daniels to go with it. No,
that sounds good. Just don't go to school about it, or
most Christians. Yeah, most
Welcome
Christians
aboard,
like
AJ.
are the quiet ones. They're not the evangelizing type. They're not. The old cliche, the ignorant are the most loudest. That is so true.
Absolutely.
Especially for Christianity in the West. It's a lot of us that are like me, which I have tons of friends and there's tons of different denominations and things, they just don't believe in all of this beating people over the head with the Bible. So they're a lot more silent, which is why I make it a point to be more vocal, trying to combat fundamentalism and, evangelical conservatism.
Well, good.
And
We need it now more than ever. And
Keep it coming.
you start quoting Thucydides about ignorance being bold while knowledge being reserved. Remember, he's pre-Jesus, so be careful with the Greeks.
Hey, wisdom is wisdom. It doesn't matter when it came.
Sure.
I forget this is Grandpa. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the creationists think that atheists think that we came from.
Ken
This
Hovind
is Grandpa.
specifically.
That's right, Ken
Yeah.
Hovind. Speaking of
Speaking of
You
Ken
think we
Hovind,
came from Iraq?
or it came from Iraq. That's right. We're doing
Hi,
some
Grandpa.
SpongeBob logic.
Right there from
Atheist
Iraq, not
Junior.
water.
We are Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Hi, Amy and James and Randolph. It's been a long time, right?
good to see you.
Woohoo!
Channel's
well,
blown
Amy-
up, but it couldn't happen to a better channel. We're really happy for you, AJ.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Amy showed up to my stream today, so I thought I'd return the favor. So
It was a good stream too.
thank you. There was,
That was so much fun.
almost 90 viewers on there. So that
Hells yeah.
Good
And-
job.
Good time just to shill for it. Go to youtube.com/atheistjunior, which is also produced by the wonderful Pieter here.
Gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Gonna go for it.
Okay, so I guess the topic is like intelligent design or the argument from design, and I'm just gonna read some stuff from like the Talk Origins article because it's just got some really good points. So it says nobody argues that life is not complicated. However, complexity is not the same as design. There are simple things that are design and complex things that originate naturally. Complexity does not imply design. In fact, simplicity is a design goal in most designs. And in most cases, the inference of design is made because people cannot envision an alternative. This is simply the argument from incredulity. Historically, supernatural design has been attributed to lots of things that we now know form naturally, such as lightning, rainbows, and seasons. And as for the rock thing, the thing I like to say in response to that is evolution teaches that humans evolved out of Africa. We didn't come from Iraq, so that's my witty reply to that. Like Iraq.
Hold up. Are you telling me
Yeah.
we didn't come from
Well,
Grandpa?
I
Went.
I'd like to say at
Right
least
away.
we know. I like to say at least we know rocks are real. So, by the odds, life coming from rocks is still much more likely than it coming from a god because we don't know that that's real.
True.
And I like what you said about sort of simplicity as the end goal of design, especially in engineering, because we're talking about engineered systems or biomechanical engineered systems for the thing of life. And I did want to address what Eddie said at the start about how sort of efficiency and resources. And
Yeah, I wanted to delve into that with him as well.
yeah, so I'm gonna bring up sort of a really stupid joke, which is sort of an optimist sees the glass as half full and a pessimist sees the glass as half empty, and an engineer sees the glass as twice as big as it should be. Right? What that is basically an engineer will go, that is waste, and get rid of it, and that is good design to make it efficient for resources as possible. Now you can say, hey, well, God wanted an inefficient design, but that makes it a bad design from an engineering standpoint. Now, you can argue from other standpoints, but as far as engineering is concerned, what you want is as efficient as possible. And I notice we don't have any. That's basically what I wanted to say about it.
Yeah, that's totally fair because I actually come from engineering perspective myself as a mechanical and electrical guy. Um, Mine is more towards um, the efficiency. I totally get it, and I don't disagree with a lot of the things that kind of boggles the mind of why things were designed a certain way. But I think that gets down to an epistemic question. Uh, how do we know at one time these things weren't extremely beneficial, or that in the future they're going to be far more beneficial, or it's something that's going to be eradicated by evolution. And uh, on that note, kind of like junk DNA, for a long time we thought that junk DNA was junk, but now we find that there's actually some function to certain
Maybe.
junk DNA. And it's not to attack the science. I mean, I'm a science guy myself. I just think that looking at from a 21st century perspective and trying to put these pieces of the puzzle back together throughout time, we don't know what certain features were important at certain times, such as I believe it's what is it, the gallbladder. They're still like boggled at why we even have one. What is the point
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
having, or an appendix, or
What does
it's
so-
the appendix. That's what I was thinking of.
The appendix,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
and
have
it's
an
like,
argument that can just blow up at random and kill you?
yeah, why do we
Maybe nothing
have
else.
these
Yeah.
all of these
Yeah.
parts that seem to be just totally useless, but we don't know in the
Evolution
past how
explains all
beneficial
that.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of to say in the future they might have some functionality. What I guess what I'm getting at is that suggests a bottom-up development process, which is antithetical to the whole idea of a creator sitting down and designing things for a purpose.
Yeah.
Or at least it doesn't necessitate a being sitting down and designing them for a
Well,
purpose.
yeah, let me give you my perspective. I'm what's called a progressive creationist, and I hold to that very loosely. Um, and basically, it is, everything came about through evolution, and these, kind of missing pieces throughout evolution possibly are times that God intervened. Now, I don't hold that God did intervene in these times, but it's possibly times that God intervened. And if we find the connection, I'm totally cool with that. I don't have an issue with that. I think that i- God's creating everything was more of installing a blueprint to meet an end, and through this process, whether evolution or biogenesis, all these different areas, it's even though there seems to be a lot of wasteful things there, or things that don't need to be there, I don't think we're in an epistemic position to make that judgment, but we can call it what it is for what we see it as, which is why I don't totally disagree with a lot of the things you brought up. But I think that ultimately it's more about the the means to an end.
Do you
And
see it as kind of like God set everything in motion, including all science and evolution,
That's
with
what I
a
was
bit of
going to
a
ask.
roll of the with a bit of a roll of the dice? Then,
well, okay, so I'm what's considered a panentheist, and panentheism is where uh God is he keeps everything in existence, and he permeates every area of existence. So everywhere God is. Now, how God is in connection with that, I don't know, but with that, God sustaining all of reality throughout all time, I think that ultimately, I don't take a deistic perspective, but I do believe that God set everything in motion, and his involvement is his sustaining the reality. So a crude um analogy that I give is, when you go to sleep, you have a dream. There's this entire
We
world that
lost Oz.
exists in your mind, you know, and as soon as you stop dreaming, then the world doesn't exist. So we're God's, you know, kind of envisioning reality itself, and from his envisioning and sustaining reality is how we exist. But I don't necessarily believe that he interferes with every little mundane thing that goes on. I think he set out a pattern and a blueprint, you know, and kind of allowed everything to unfold while he continues to sustain this existence.
So he's not micromanaging, even though he's
Right.
an omnipotent. Okay.
Right.
I do want to delve into the comment you made earlier in your opening, but I know Wildheart's been asking for something, and I know Amy needs to get
Sure.
Oz on.
Well, I
No, he
think
dropped out.
Oz might have had something to do. We are sending hearts out to Oz. In fact, we're sending
Oh,
love
sucks. I was
to
looking
the
forward to Oz
entire
coming on.
Heart.live and Tang Gang. But I am going to send the link back up into chat if you would like to join us, especially if you disagree with us and think that intelligent design is a good argument for the existence of God. The link to join us is right below. But we're having fun. We are Midnight Ranting on
We
the
just got somebody.
argument from God. Oh,
Amy, you want to zoom up my screen? This is a response to a comment
Well,
earlier about
save that for just 1 second. We are gonna bring in
That's good,
Leo
Randall. I like it.
Felius.
I like it.
Leo, I hope you are doing well. We are Midnight Ranting on the argument from God. Tell us when your opener is done, and then I will full screen Randolph Richardson's. But I hope you're doing well. What do you think? Intelligent design. Are you a big fan, Leo?
You said the argument from God there. I think you meant to say the
Did
argument.
I say
from
the argument from God?
Yeah. Which argument
Listen,
would
I
that
have
be,
a
Amy?
new argument from God called the argument from God.
Yeah. I do think Eddie has a point in delineating between intelligent design and actual teleological arguments. I'm not going to touch too much on intelligent design. The first thing that I wanted to say was to Mark that it's absolutely brilliant that he brought up the distinction between top-down and bottom-up frameworks for how people look at reality, because this is something that I've noticed, and I even noticed the change in myself when I went from theist to atheist, from Catholic to naturalist, literally from that's like two completely opposite ends of the scale. Is that a lot of people who are theists do look at reality from a top-down perspective. They see the structure, the order, the complexity that exists in reality, and to them it is imposed on reality from something else, from the top to the bottom. Whereas I see all the complexity, the structure, the order in reality, and I think that it all emerges from the bottom up. And I think that as an intelligent species, we've actually done a pretty good job of describing, at least thus far, the most fundamental aspects of reality that we're capable of measuring. I think that the measurements that we've made at that level are some of the most accurate that we've ever made, and potentially may be the most accurate that we ever make. And it definitely seems that out of what is complex mathematically, but otherwise very, very, very simple set of laws, all of this complexity, all of this structure emerges out of that, and we are a part of that. We exist within it and within a particular scale. So I really did like that distinction, because not a lot of people bring that up, and I think that the distinction with how you look at that, whether it's top down or bottom up, is really gonna. I think it's a framework. That's the way that people look at it, and that's going to inform how they go about thinking about these things like God's existence. To the teleological argument. The form that I'm most familiar with, as it's given by William Lane Craig, is the fine-tuning of the universe is due to either physical necessity, chance, or design. It is due to neither physical necessity nor chance, therefore it is due to design. So I'm just going to focus primarily on this argument. There's one of two problems I see with it. The first one is, they both are rooted in how we're defining the term fine-tune. So if we're defining that the way that physicists would, fine-tuning simply means that there are a set of parameters that are very, very highly constrained, and our models cannot otherwise explain why these parameters are so highly constrained. If you're taking what apologists mean by fine-tuned, they mean intentionally adjusted to some particular outcome or intended goal, which implies agency. If the latter definition is what we're using, then the argument is just affirming the consequence. But if it's the former, then I don't think that we can say we've ruled out either physical necessity or chance, because we don't, despite the fact that we've measured reality very, very well, we do not have a complete description of reality, and we do not know if certain variables and certain constants.
Now, if they're constants, then by definition, they can't be changed, right?
Well, we can't physically change them, no, but...
Well, I think the Hubble constant has changed.
And this gets into the second point is, when we look at how highly constrained, especially in some of the models that Luke Barnes presents, what we're seeing is that in the probability space, what you need for life, it is very, 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 very highly constrained. That seems to go against the concept of fine-tuning. If God wanted a universe to eventually develop intelligent agents such as ourselves, why would he design the universe to be where it would be next to impossible for that to actually happen without his intervention? And it just seems that to argue because life existing is so highly constrained that therefore it seems that this was set up just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, Leophilius. And with that, we're going to move into our open discussion once again. We only got one more slot left if you want to join us and our lovely skeptic deck that we have here tonight. But all right, Randolph. I like how you're like a kid in a toy store.
Yeah.
So they're really talking about glass half full, half empty, and so the optimist says the glass is half full, the pessimist says the glass is half empty, and the cat sitting on the table is thinking the glass is on the floor.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
And I just once again, this channel supports all cats.
Yeah, and I don't totally disagree with Leo's assessment either. I don't, I think that theism and atheism is an abductive case either way. I don't think that either position is irrational. I think that at the end of the day, we don't necessarily get to choose everything that we're convinced of. And for me, the fine-tuning, when I talk about being compelling, to me, the fine-tuning, being and it's very important to make this distinction that the fine-tuning only talks about carbon life. We don't know what other kind of life there could have been. So it's not like an end-all be-all argument for the existence of a deity. I think it's just one of the things that points to some type of deity existing, given the constraints that are there. And it seems that, with a universe that is so hostile to life, that with these constraints, we're able to have carbon life. Now, one could say, I don't think it's successful, but it's not totally out of the realm. One could say that it's a Texas sharpshooter fallacy. We have all of these things that we're looking at, and we kind of build the bullseye around, where the target is. And I'm not totally, I don't think that it falls in that realm. I think it's just an inference. But I think people who use like fine-tuning or the argument from contingency, even if it's the modal contingency argument or, different arguments to say this proves God, I think that's where the error and the issues come to be, because I don't think there is a single argument that proves God.
And so before an atheist responds, we're actually going to get the specifically wonderful Oz. Hope you are doing well. and we are talking. We are midnight ranting on the argument from design. Hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts? Including anything we were just talking about, too.
Hey, Oz.
Hello, Oz. Are you muted?
Kamikaze.
Oh, I was muted. My bad.
You freaking rookie. Come on, man.
The only time I've asked, and it turned out he was.
Shut up, Eddie. No, hope everybody's doing well.
Oz, your volume's quite low.
Yeah, you sound like you're 100 miles away.
God damn it! All right, just bear with me. As soon as
You fixed
I'm
it.
done,
It's working now.
I'm smoking a cigarette, and then I'll go into my studio and get on an actual microphone. But
You're you're cutting it out.
This is going really badly, mate.
Yeah, I think he said he's on
all
his
of you
phone,
just
that's why.
if you have.
You know what, Oz? Maybe I'll just talk with Eddie for a moment about something he said in the welcome, and then you'll have your audio sorted out then. Eddie, you'd mentioned about how the design, if it's to be efficient, that is restrictive. And I see it the other way. To me, it seems that something that's designed efficiently, to work efficiently, would be hopefully providing us with what's designed, say we're designed, providing us with better options to live our lives in a better quality and be able to do more. Like if we're designed more efficiently, we would, I guess, assume have more flexibility with the way our muscles work, for example.
Yeah. Well, so I was talking about efficiency more in the technical sense of the word of what efficiency means. You
want to just maybe tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, like, efficiency is getting the most out of something that you have a limited number on. Like fuel efficiency would be getting the best gas mileage out of the available fuel, in the vehicle. And so when we look at efficiency itself,
so to me, I see that as less restrictive because I don't need to get to a further distance. I can do that on the same amount of gas, or to get to travel the same distance, I would need less fuel. So that seems like less restriction to me.
Well, there's two ways.
Hold on, can I ask Eddie a question really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean by restrict in this case?
Yeah. So efficiency would be, by the definition of it, the restriction would be there's a limited amount of resources, and we're trying to do the most with that limited amount of resources. So like efficiency in the workforce would be you have this workforce who's only producing, at a certain rate. Well, you want better efficiency means that you want the same workforce to produce at a higher rate. So there is this kind of restriction on the available resources, and you're trying to get the most out of those resources that you can.
Well, there's two sides to the equation. There's sort of the input of how much you put into it, and then the output. All that efficiency means is that you're getting a greater output for the input that goes in. Now, it could be increasing efficiency, could be reducing the input, or a greater efficiency could be increasing the output.
Or a combination of the two.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, or a combination of the two, absolutely.
Can I maybe throw a wrench into this discussion quickly?
Yeah.
When don't you, Leo? When don't you throw a wrench into the conversation? Go for it.
No, Leo, as long as you promise to do so efficiently.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The thing with it, the whole concept of efficiency is, I think I would consider efficiency as something that's normative, where it's something that like an agent would decide upon based on some standard that they develop. Wait, what would it mean to talk about efficiency without us developing some standard that we try to meet? So, and then, based on that standard, we prescribe particular behaviors, things we ought do to meet that standard. And to me, that seems that's efficiency is rooted in something like that. I think that Eddie has a point if he means restricted in the sense of being normative, and that it would be restricted to whatever standard is being decided upon for efficiency. But outside of that, yeah,
I was going to say
those are my thoughts.
That's probably better articulated what I was talking about. What if we have some certain standard that we're measuring what's being accomplished within that standard? To be more efficient would be to accomplish more within that standard with the same kind. I say resources
more strongly aligned with the standard.
Right. Yeah, I say resources because in my mind, it's easier to equate, a certain number of resources that are available versus how much of that resource is being utilized.
Yeah, so like something like the concept of efficiency would consist in a notion of finite resources. What would efficiency mean if you had a literal unlimited amount of a resource? Efficiency doesn't.
That's
really
irrelevant.
mean
You have an unlimited amount of resources.
Absolutely.
You can still do an efficient design. You have that option.
Any design is efficient at that point, right?
But if you have unlimited resources, how do you even work out what efficiency is?
Well, let's say we have an unlimited source of water coming from our ocean. We still need to go and get that water and clean it, take the salt out, and use it. But let's say it was impossible for us to ever utilize all that water. Even we'd still be able to efficiently extract from it, efficiently use that resource.
So before we derail it, efficiency specifically has to do with an analysis in a system where you have a finite number of resources. So in a system where there is no limitation on resources, efficiency is really not an issue. I mean, we can get down to the minutia and keep arguing.
How would you even define it?
Right.
If
efficiency, it literally has
what?
to do. Right. Yeah. Again, Leo's right. Within the like engineering and physics, efficiency has to do with the most work, but that work's limitation, which defines efficiency, is quote unquote the limiting material that would then define efficiency, right? Because you can have a fuel efficient car that's not environmentally efficient because of the byproducts, like you use rare earths or something in the car. So in one way it's not efficient in one area but highly efficient in another, like the use of ceramic engines rather than metal, right? There are these important things to remember. Efficiency is defined by what you're trying to economize, and that would be resources and such, because they can change. An efficient rocket for life support might be different than a fuel efficient rocket for space travel, right? They can be entirely different systems. So just before we get in the mud.
Yes, I agree with that. I think.
And somebody is beating on their keyboard extremely hard.
I forgot to. Sorry, that was me.
Shake weights, Amy. Sorry.
I apologize.
That's right.
It's all good.
If I can go back to something that Eddie said, and I sort of touched on it with saying, like, you kick the can down the road to say, okay, you've got these processes that may very well be sort of bottom-up, natural, organic processes. But you sort of said, well, you see it as somebody starting it all in motion kind of thing. So I want to sort of look at your epistemic reasons as to why, because from that point you sort of go, well, they started the process, but I still don't have a reason to believe that any kind of God started the process. So I'm just wondering what your reasoning is of why you think a God started these processes that then sort of organically flourished.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I actually take a top-down approach. I think that there's a lot of things that we can infer, through science and through experience and through empiricism. But ultimately, we get to a point where uh, everything just is the way that it
You said
is.
you were a panentheist, didn't you?
Yes.
Panentheist? You take a top-down approach?
Yes.
That's actually kind of surprising. I would think, and that's just in my mind, so I'm not like, there's nothing wrong with that, but just because I would think that with panentheism, that would be one of the easier ones to take a bottom-up approach with, because it seems to me that with panentheism, essentially concrete reality consists in God.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and there's a lot of people that would argue a presuppositional approach with panentheism or things like that. But I think that we can, infer that we exist. We can infer that gravity's real. We can infer that the external world exists. We can infer all these things. And at the end of the day, that's totally fine. We have, this set of beliefs that we have about the way that reality works. I just go a step further into the ontology of it. So for me, God is an ontological explanation for, the existence of, if universals exist or universal abstracts exist or, the truth of mathematics and things like that. I don't start with that presupposition. I think that God just fits the explanatory scope of how we can have these universal things, or how we can have anything objective, if aside from nominalism or something like that. So I don't think that uh, arguing for the base first, the presupposition that God must exist in order to justify these things. I think that we can infer everything that happens in reality through, science and experience and, empiricism. And then we can come up with an explanatory hypothesis of how all of these things, kind of going from the physics to the metaphysics. I don't like starting with the metaphysics and then building up from the metaphysics.
Can I interrupt briefly? Doorknobhead in the chat said the panel is focusing a little less on fart jokes than he would like, so I've lined one up. What do you call a dinosaur's farts? A blast from the past. That is all. Thank you very much. Continue.
But that seems odd to me, Eddie.
That sounds like Doorknobhead.
That does sound like Doorknobhead, a very usual suspect. But it sort of says that, in a way, and I don't want to straw man you, but you're sort of, to me, it says that God took a top down approach, but designed it to be messy, basically, because we know that reality is chaotic, and has messy elements to it. So
he designed it to look
thermodynamics.
undesigned.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
He designed it to look undesigned.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. If sure, undesigned being messy, sure. So I just wonder what your epistemic reasons for thinking that is. Like you're saying, you can make some hypotheses about it, and I get that you're not absolutely saying you know this to be true, but you obviously believe it. So I'm wondering what your sort of epistemic reasons for believing that God designed it to, as James rightly pointed out, to look undesigned.
Yeah, I think intuitively, at least in my intuition, certain things seem to be designed. When we spend more time thinking about it, then we can, come to the conclusion that if they are designed, they're not designed in the way that we would think that they are. But so to me, it's more about, I'm drawing a blank of what his name was, why there's something rather than nothing. That's why I make a distinction.
William Lane Craig?
Was that Leibniz?
Leibniz,
No.
yes. Yeah, thank you, Leo.
Oh, the philosopher.
Yeah, Leibniz. Why there's something rather than nothing, and when we talk about chance, things coming about by chance. Well, chance has no causal power. Chance is another way of saying randomness. It just, kind of happened to end up the way that it is. And given, I'm a moral realist, intuitively, I think that there are moral facts in the world. With that, and, the question of why there's something rather than nothing. We look at the fine tuning of the universe, whether you're convinced by it or not, the cosmic constants, and then things like the contingency argument. And it just seems to me to paint a picture of there existing some kind of, cosmic consciousness that exists, outside, or not outside, but that would be responsible for all of these things. We look at time. We don't understand time. What's the ontology of time?
The C word.
Could I respond to that? Because I've actually been muted. It was my fault for like the past 5 minutes. So
Oh no,
sure, I
AJ.
tried to talk and I couldn't. Okay, so the idea of like the fine tuning argument, and that they are like constants in the universe. I don't really agree, or I don't really find that convincing, because if you say the universe is fine-tuned, well, the universe is expanding and the rate of expansion is increasing. And we know this from something called the Hubble constant. And the reason we call it the Hubble constant is because the universe expands at the same rate at every location throughout the universe. But the Hubble constant it's constant throughout space, but the expansion rate itself, and therefore the actual value of the Hubble constant, changes over time. So it's kind of counterintuitive that it's called a constant, but it's something that's changing. And the expansion rate is changing. It's speeding up. We know that because of dark energy. We don't actually know what that is, but we know that the expansion rate is increasing. So usually when I hear the fine-tuning argument, my response to that is, well, if everything is fine-tuned, then why is this rate increasing? So
yeah, but you also got to understand the fine-tune argument is talking about the strength of gravity, the strength of the strong nuclear force, the difference between the masses of of the two lightest quarks. We're talking about things that are constant. We're not talking about necessarily about the expansion of the universe.
Well, those forces were combined at one point. Like you have electromagnetism and then you have the weak nuclear force. Well, they were the electro-weak force earlier in the evolution of the universe. So they're not
and
always,
even before
they're
that, it
changing.
combined with strong interactions and became the electronuclear force.
Right.
Right, but
sorry.
But the thing is, like even with the nuclear force, if it was, any weaker, the nucleosynthesis would, be less efficient. There are so many different cosmic. It's not controversial that there are these constants.
You're right.
It's controversial of why the constants exist and what kind of life we would have. So, and that's why I made the distinction earlier.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the distinction I made earlier was, to have carbon-based life. From what we know, what we can infer from the constants that are there is these are the these are the parameters it's required to have carbon-based life. It doesn't mean we couldn't have some other kind of life. It doesn't mean that there's not a universe out there that does have some kind of life. That's why I made it extremely clear in the beginning. I don't think that, like the fine tuning is like this end all be all argument for God. I think that, we are carbon. There is an anthropic principle to it in a sense. We do exist. we are carbon-based life, and from what we know, it appears that these are the parameters required to have, a carbon-based life.
And I
Yeah,
would
and
say there are good reasons for that. There are good reasons to why on this planet life came about, and it's because we are on the habitable zone around a star. We have lots of
Goldilocks zone.
liquid water. That water just acts weird. It allows it if house freezes from the top down, and so it has allowed life to form over billions of years, along with all this just hunk of carbon that's out here. I want to just add in Oz and Kat because they. I think Oz was.
You can move me to the back.
Okay, I really got to address some of the
Jeez.
points that Eddie made. We kind of shifted.
Can I make just a
Shifted to
really
fine-tuning.
quick point? I just wanted to make a really quick
Here's
point.
Here's
go,
the
Leo.
thing. I feel like if everyone makes a point, though, we won't get them in. But
It'll
then,
be 10 minutes.
Vroom vroom.
but so what's going to happen? Just save your point. I'll keep on going. But Oz can respond if he wants to everything we said on We Are Midnight Ranting. Wait too. Oh my!
It's okay.
Lord.
Get Oz on. We want to see Oz, and he's
So-
already had one attempt to.
See, but here's the thing. This is what I love about the non-believer community, ladies and gentlemen. We're sending too many hearts and enough eggplant emojis. Also, Oz, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting.
Emojis for
Oz, that
all of
background
us.
is the shit. I love that
Oh,
background.
I love it, Oz.
Jesus.
I can't get
No.
enough of it.
I don't know what you're complaining about, Eddie. The font is very clear.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I love it. I love Oz. I love the way that he comes at everything, and that is just cool as shit the way he did that.
Thank you. But yes, we are Midnight Ranting, and not only, I mean, Jesus is a myth, and why prophets? They're kind of, I'm still gonna, but on the argument from design, a lot of people have been calling it intelligent design because it's the better PR name. Oz, how are you before we go right back into the fun? And what are your thoughts?
You're
You're
muted
muted,
again,
Oz.
rookie.
That's just what the fuck I do. It doesn't matter if I'm on my phone or the computer. But
He's new to this whole YouTube thing.
Oz is a myth.
the hashtag remains.
That's blasphemy.
But no,
That's true.
good to be
We have
here.
video evidence. At least.
As
I was talking to James.
as always, thanks for letting me on to hang out and chop it up. And you know, as I was listening and being frustrated with my fucking phone, I always try to take the most humble approach. So I'm gonna do that here. I'm probably the least informed, and I don't mean this to be like I'm talking like down to or at myself. I'm just trying to observe the room and see where know where I'm at. So I'm probably the least informed and least intelligent when it comes to this topic than anybody that's involved right now. I have no issue with saying that. No problem saying that. Being just a street guy, common sense, brass tacks guy that just continues to try to learn and get better and improve. The whole intelligent design or there being a creator of everything that we see and observe or feel in the reality. God damn it, Randolph. Hit you.
Sorry.
That's hilarious. You knew it was Randolph.
I know. We've been streaming with Randolph long enough. I already know.
I try to remember. Once in a while, I forget. I apologize.
once in a while. It's been like 2 years now, bruh.
I think we lost Wildheart. Have a good night, Wildheart, if you're out there.
Night, Wildheart, and thank you for joining us. It was a great time on Midnight Ranting, Argument from Design. And all right, Oz.
No, it's all good. As a street guy, common sense, brass tacks, none of the arguments, they don't lead me to a God. They don't even approach the existence of a God or a creator. We still end up at the either, the God of the gaps or, what have you. I won't waste time because you guys have already talked about most of it, because I still, at this point, as a skeptic first, before we even bring atheism into it, as a skeptic first, and I follow the evidence, I don't see good evidence to believe in a God or a creator God. I don't see good evidence to believe in a Jesus, which would be part of the triune God, depending on what form of Christianity you align with here in the States. So it's just to me, like, we can get into all of I call it the weeds and the depths of it and go into it. But at the end of the day, I just want to know that there's a God, and it shouldn't be this difficult. One of my favorite quotes is complexity is the enemy of execution. When it becomes this complex and this difficult to try to wrap your mind around a God that supposedly loved us enough to create us, to take care of us, I'm at a loss. And that's all I'll say.
Ramen. Thank you so very much, Oz. And all right, we're about to get Kat in here, but I know that it seemed like Atheist Jr., Mark, and Leo wanted to say something. Oh, I was going to say, I saw the picture come off. Oh, everyone. All right.
I can be the quickest. I only need like 20 seconds.
That sounds great. Well, then,
That's
Leo,
what he said.
what is up? And that all sounds good. We're going to hand it back. We are Midnight Ranting, Argument from God.
Oh, I go right now, or are we bringing Kat
I'm
in?
throwing that ball back to you, Leo.
I just wanted to say that the thing with complexity, it doesn't really mean anything when it comes to design. In fact, the physical attributes of anything that we're looking at mean nothing when it comes to inferring design. When you see a watch on a beach, you don't know that the watch is designed because it can tell the time. You don't know that the watch is designed because it's got gears and it can tick and all these other things. You know the watch is designed because you have the prior knowledge that humans design watches. So we infer design not from the physical attributes of anything, but from our prior knowledge about them being designed. And we don't have a prior knowledge about physical realities like the one that we preside in being designed. So
You've never seen a universe creating God.
Exactly. And just a quick point directly to Eddie. If when you say that we don't understand the ontology of time, if you mean in the sense of tensed versus tenseless, I would argue that yes, we do. I'm done, by the way.
All right.
That wasn't
so
10
much,
seconds
Leo.
there. That's way longer than 10 seconds.
That's
He said
okay.
20 seconds.
It was quick. It's fine.
But Mark,
is time even real?
Is time?
No one understands time.
Time is very much a real thing, and it's the reason why we're all attracted to the Earth. So we can measure it. It's there. It's a real thing, 100%.
But how do you know what is?
Well, I don't. I guess I don't.
Thank you,
mean when you
President Oz.
Is. Yeah. So I like it, the subject. Quick shifted pretty fast to fine tuning. I wanted to address some of the things Eddie said. I didn't get a chance, and so I just please do indulge me. You said that intuition.
Oh, we will.
You've got to. You've got no choice now. You said that intuition, like things seem to be designed or look designed. To my mind, and what I find personally is my intuition isn't necessarily very accurate. Like, for instance, there's things called hag stones or witch stones, and they're basically rocks with a hole in the center. And people used to think that witches carved them or stuff. They're actually just naturally forming, but our intuition can say, "Hey, that's a product of somebody doing it," when in reality, it's just the chaotic forces of nature working upon something. You also mentioned probability and sort of these cosmological constants, which no one's disputing they exist. But the major problem I have with that probabilistic argument about fine tuning is that we've only got one universe, so our sample size is one. And we don't know if there are any other universes, like in the multiverse kind of hypothesis, and we don't know how many universes have sprung up, and we don't know. There's so many unknowns that I don't find a probabilistic explanation very credible, because we just don't know so much about the probabilities.
I agree with
And I
this.
just want to add on to that point, just that if it was tuned just a little bit differently and we had a universe of like just dust, the universe, it wouldn't matter. Like the universe, their feelings wouldn't be hurt that there was no life. It just happens that we have a universe that actually most of the universe wants to kill us, is burning or freezing, and then it just happens these little pockets of life around stars. Here we are.
Hey, Amy, can I get you to do me a favor? Can you throw me back on the
Sure.
list? Because Mark, once again, with his brilliant mind, brought up something else that's really relevant to this discussion that I'd
Sure.
like to
So
unpack at when I get the chance.
So what's going to happen? I feel like Atheist Jr. and Eddie are the last two, unless to say something, and then Cat's coming in, and we'll do a whole new round.
I'll be really fast. Okay, I'm glad that Amy brought up the habitable zone earlier, because you were saying that, if these parameters of the universe were changed in any way, that, maybe even if you're saying carbon-based life wouldn't have been able to exist. Well, the habitable zone is pretty large. Like we could be closer or farther away from the sun
Venus
by a
is
fairly
in the
large
sun's
margin,
habitable zone.
and we would
So is
still
Mars.
be good. So that was only the point. That was the point I wanted to say. That I'm done.
Yep. In fact, like they were just saying, Mars is in the habitable zone, and it could have at one point had
It
life,
could have.
and we could one day, science fiction-y right now, but we could set up there and continue to live there because it is.
it has frozen
They were
water
looking
on it.
for life on Venus,
Exactly.
potentially.
Yeah, but I don't think any of that pertains to the fact that there are cosmological constants for carbon life to exist. It doesn't matter where it exists. We're talking about what's required for life as we know it. I'm not saying that there's not possibilities that there could have been other kinds of life. Just given the epistemic position that we're in, we have carbon life, and we seem to be able to, infer how we can have carbon life. It's not to say that Earth is the only place that could have had, carbon life.
I agree with you. It's just that, in my opinion, the creationist claim seems to be it can be no other way. There is no other life. This is the shit, and it came from,
I would even argue with them about that. But to Mark, so one, I was real careful with what I said. I said my intuition, not everybody's intuition. And the thing with intuition is not to get into, an epistemic debate, but at the end of the day, everything's going to basically end at intuition. And what I mean by that is, if I ask you, how do you justify your position? And you give me a response, and I'm going to ask you, how do you justify that response? And then I'm going to ask you how you justify that response. So there tends to be like an infinite regress of justification. So at some point, we're going to have to appeal to it just seems to be true, which is our intuition. Why do we accept the findings of science? Well, because other people have tested this, have made predictions and things like that. Well, why do you trust that? And then on we go, which is, we get back to Agrippa's trilemma. So intuition in that sense is we start with this kind of innate reaction, and then we evaluate the world based on that innate reaction. And at some point, we're either convinced by a method or the findings of a method, or we're not. But there is no way to really justify coming to that conclusion. So that's all I meant by intuition. I didn't mean it was like, this universal intuition that everybody shares.
But can
Welcome,
I?
Dr. Flower.
Well,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
just want to make one point about that, about intuition specifically, because I think, to use choice words here, I think there are brute facts. I think there is. If you're walking in a forest and you are about to hit a tree, you can have an intuition about that, but then eventually you're either going to hit that tree or you're not. And it is in that sense doing what science does, because it's frigging around and finding out. And so I guess I am interested, because I agree with what what you said. I just want to know, beyond intuition, is something like a god?
Well, is it an intuition that brute facts exist? Where did she go?
She
She probably dropped out.
She dropped the mic and
Sure.
left.
There
Yeah.
she is.
I'd say that brute facts may exist.
She hit a wormhole.
They should probably
Is it
be
an
the
intuition?
minimum amount necessary. We should
Yeah,
probably
but
have
is
the
it an
minimum
intuition
amount
that brute facts
necessary.
exist?
Well, I would say, is it more towards an intuition, as in like the same way that you meet someone and you're like, damn, I just really don't think that so and so, they just give me the wrong vibes, and it's probably from a lot of past experiences that we had, and a lot of genes, and a lot of all this stuff. Or is it closer to God being the tree, like we just walk into him?
Yeah, to save a rabbit hole and getting off topic, intuition is extremely controversial in philosophy. And when we talk about intuition in philosophy, we're not talking about that gut feeling. We're not talking. Intuition is your initial reaction to a certain event without thinking it through or anything else. Like, for example, if you see something you're repulsed by, you're immediately repulsed by that without reasoning your way to that repulsion, or so that's all that intuition is. And if you look at philosophers like Russ Schaefer Landau, who's an atheist, he makes a very good case for the power of intuition, because at the end of the day, we're going to find ourselves convinced by something or we're not. If we say it's a brute fact, we're convinced it's a brute fact. Why are you convinced it's a brute fact? Well, you just have an intuition that it's a brute fact. And that is the the issue when we get into like Agrippa's trilemma. Is there going to be an infinite regress, or are we just going to stop at it's a brute fact? Or is there some kind of paradigmatic circularity to it? So not to get off on, the tangent of intuition, I would argue that intuition at the end of the day is why we make the decisions that we make. And if somebody wants to disagree, that's totally fine. But I wanted to also address Mark's other point, but if somebody wanted to say something about that.
Well,
Maybe we could get Kat
we'll
in.
all
And
have.
wait.
We're gonna get Kat in, and then it'll just go right back to open conversation anyway. And all right, we are midnight ranting on argument from design, the teleological argument, sometimes with the sexy PR'd. Tested name intelligent design, because how else are you going to get it into schools? And I just need 10 minutes. Let me do it to 10 minutes with I'm teaching, and well, your science teachers over here with their religious
Amy has
evolution.
a 15-foot.
And with that, we are going to get Kat in. Kat, we are midnight ranting on the argument from design. I hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts on anything we've been talking about and the subject itself?
Well, it's just silly that you atheists don't believe in intelligent design. I mean, well, you teach evolution in school. Sorry, I had to do
Will
that.
Kincaid got a hold of the mic. That's Will.
Yes, I know. I sound vaguely like Will. I understand. Yes, I know. That is the joke. No, but here's a question. Is a fart intelligently designed, or is it naturally occurring? Or is it situational? Because, like, if you intentionally eat beans to, like, annoy someone, is that an intentionally designed fart? Or an intelligently designed fart?
Most definitely.
I think Eddie is an intelligently designed fart.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, now the gauntlets, like I said.
Spicy. Hey, that's what I do.
Woohoo! But yes, I hope you're doing well, Kat. And what are your thoughts about all of the, I think Dr. Kranhova would say you just gotta teach the controversy.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. I went to a Christian Young Earth Creationist school as a kid. That's basically, breaking your kids' kneecaps intellectually and then tying their arms behind their back and then calling them an asshole. That's basically what happens if you do that, because then you don't know shit about shit, and then you don't know how to know shit about shit because you've never been taught how to think.
Breaking
So, the whole
arms for
intelligent
Jesus.
design thing's kind of bunk.
Good. Great explanation, Kat. Great. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's because I got to high school and I had biology class, and I got in there, and the first fucking test is on evolution, and I tell the teacher, I don't know shit about this. I went to crazy people school. Well, she can't teach me because my parents have decided I'm not allowed to learn. So it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Fail? And she just shrugged. That's the kind of shit that happens when you teach your kids intelligent design and creationism.
And
you
The Sunday school for biology.
Kat came in at 2 hours and 28 minutes and won the entire fucking goddamn debate. Congratulations.
Yeah, she has a way with words.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
guess.
he said.
In the same way a rhinoceros has a way with being stealthy.
No, I
went to public school in Texas, so I wasn't taught evolution, but I wasn't tested on it either. It just wasn't a thing in the curriculum.
They just
because they don't
didn't exist.
You're saying they didn't give a test on Satan. That's what they're
right.
No, they barely taught it
Texas
here.
might be worse.
They barely taught it here, the bare minimum.
I'm still waiting to see either Mark or Leo smile.
I've been smiling.
I think that's biologically possible.
There we go. Okay, I'm good.
No, I've got something to add on intelligent design, because that sort of brought something up for me in the arguments that we generally have with people that are like, DNA was designed, it's too complex and it's too this. And I want to bring up this unusual position that intelligent design is not, it doesn't mean that it's God. Okay, so hear me out on this one. Because they basically go, well, if it's not naturally occurring, it has to be God. And that's a false dichotomy. because there are ways to intelligently design something that aren't God. For instance, what if it's aliens? Still intelligent, still designed, but it's not
What if
God.
it's us?
Mark, are you not saying it's aliens? But
I'm not saying it's aliens. No, I don't believe it's aliens. Right? I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe in extra
You
dimensional
still have to have a way
unicorns.
for the aliens
Sure
to
you don't.
arise.
Yeah, stealth aliens.
Yes, but we haven't examined any alien DNA, so we don't know
Yeah,
whether
maybe
that
they don't
works
have
naturally
DNA.
designed. Who knows?
and
We don't
although
know.
my parents are reptiles, they are not aliens. Look, I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
good.
It
Yeah.
happens.
I knew it. I knew it all along. But yeah, all I'm saying is that intelligent
sorry, Mark.
design
That's
is
not
a
a
false.
tail.
It's a what?
That's not a tail, Mark.
Oh my.
I thought that was Amy's tail. But I gotta tell you, it's not a tail.
Right. Intelligent design is a false dichotomy. There, I said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. Intelligent design is also, when they talk about complexity being the hallmark of design, it's just, that would be a designer's nightmare. It's just, can you imagine, like, go build a UI that is complex. Go build a seatbelt that is complex.
Add a bunch of
Go
extra shit we
build-
don't need just for the hell of it.
How about this? We're going to make a jar, but it's going to be complex to open. It's
They'll
going to
have
be great.
6 different moving lids.
Maybe it's
See-
child safe.
Well, it's so dumb because, you know, complexity. All right, you want to know what's intelligently designed? A ramp. A ramp is intelligently designed, you fucking twat. That's not complex at all. That's one of the most basic of fucking tools. What the fuck? You combine it with the fucking cylinder to make a goddamn screw. It's the most basic goddamn thing, but that was intelligently designed. It's a wedge, man. Sharp rocks.
If you use a rock as a hammer, the rock is now a hammer, and that hammer has been intelligently designed.
Also, I'm just going to say I might be the last one to call it out before it was trending, but I've heard great things about the wheel. Just, I've been a fan for a long time. The wheel and fire. Well, the
what
wheel.
Is the wheel?
It will
Intelligently designed. It's very
so you
simple.
have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You
think
never get it a perfect pie, but you just got to chisel it out. You go. I'll be honest with you. A bunch of crazy apes actually burn things to go into space. We still have to burn things. The fact that it's called a rocket ship should give you a good idea of how technically advanced we are. I'm just saying, if the aliens came down, they'd be like, "Oh no, put yourself on a rocket. That'll."
Oh, like those apes that
With
had
all
to,
that flammable stuff. That's
all the flammable stuff.
yeah,
But the wheel,
God's
once
sons
again,
to forgive us.
Somewhat controlled explosions.
hey, let's invent a circle and put it on a cart.
Yeah.
Boom.
See, now you're talking. I feel like we could sell those. What?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the original wheel was probably just like, you know, when you see cats play with toys. I feel like that's what humans did with the original wheels and balls and shit we made. Just swatted them around like deranged cats
with a K.
Yeah. Well, yes, me in particular. Yes, I do that. But I'm easily entertained. I have one brain cell, so.
It's true. And I will say, if I could endorse one thing on this channel, it's playing with balls. But yes, Materialist Dan, we did not tip your waitress.
Brought that out tonight.
That's right. Prometheus did not gift us. No. It turns out it was modern science.
And just for the record, I'm not opposed to people playing with balls.
See, I just like it when the podcast could come together, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody loves balls.
Everyone loves balls.
Especially when they're bouncing to the left and to the right.
Especially Eddie. Eddie loves bouncing balls.
Well, then you got to ask, do they hang low? Do they hang to the right?
See, we're trying to get to the true
Can you tie him in
philosophical
a knot? Can you
conjuries.
tie him in a bow?
I bet Steve is old enough
Thanks,
he can
Leo. I drew
probably
a
do
blank
that.
on that.
Pat is severely pissed off right now. Okay, he's like pissed. He's like,
I have that effect on people.
We're talking about balls hanging low. I came here
Yeah,
for
you do.
intelligent conversation.
Well, because
Hey, you know what? When you guys get to 50
first
and the
mistake
first
is
thing
coming
to hit the
here.
toilet seat is your balls in the water, you'll know what you're talking about.
Thank you. I was just fixing to, Pat, I was just fixing to say he's only making these faces because him and I are close in age, and you can always tell the age of a man by how low his balls hang.
No,
That's
Gravity is real.
Eddie,
Of course.
Eddie, the
So
way
you hit
Fake
50
news.
and what happened? You hit 50 and they didn't get you a bigger toilet? Why didn't you get a bigger toilet?
here's how
Let
I
me
do-
tell you.
Eddie's
Tell
close.
you. Last week I was scratching my knee. Well, someone said, "Hey, does your knee itch?" And I said, "No, I'm moving my balls."
There we go.
Listen, I will
Go ahead,
not
Oz.
take any of
Everybody's
this
interrupting
serious.
Oz.
Hold on, I want to hear what
You
Oz
better
has to
go
say.
complain to your government because you didn't get the bigger toilet. That's a problem.
Oh,
was
yeah,
that?
the executive
What was
deep
that, Oz?
toilet for well-endowed men.
You make it half a century, you're entitled, man.
I know Eddie is never what's two or three things could be involved here. Has never actually been in the hood as he claims. Or he's so far
Oh,
away.
snap.
He's so far away now from the hood that he's forgotten, or he's just so goddamn old he can't remember what to say because he just said, "I'm fixing to."
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fitting him.
I'm fixing to. Like my 88-year-old grandpa said before he just passed a year or two ago. Hey boy, I'm fixing to go to the bathroom.
Oz, it took a long time for me to drop the fidna. It was. I'm fitting
Hey,
to do
just
this.
remember.
I'm fitting to do that.
Hey, just remember, most people have been to the hood. They've just drove through it at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
That's Eddie.
And if you see a stop sign, you do not stop. You just keep on going.
Dude, I'm so hood.
Well, I had my hood card pulled because I moved out of the hood, and if anybody knows, when you move out of the hood, you're just a
They
target
revoke
now.
your card.
The hood don't move out of you.
Yeah, you're no longer part of the hood. It don't matter how much you keep in touch with everybody. It doesn't matter how much you help people out. You're no longer part of the hood.
Yeah, you got some shitty ass friends, bro.
Oh, I do. Absolutely. I could go on all night on the bullshit that they pulled on me.
I had a friend. He passed away for health problems because he's getting old. But he left some mafia stuff in Africa and came to Canada to get away from it. He could not get away. They would still phone him and ask him for questions on how to run certain parts of the organization. They didn't bother him too much, but they would call, and he would make sure he doesn't miss those calls.
Oh no! So the thing with the hood is, if you move 6 miles away, and you're not, they can't just walk to your house or, hop in a ride and go a couple of blocks. Then that's it. You're no longer part of their clique.
Those are little local gangs. Okay.
Yeah, it's I moved literally 6 miles away, and everybody that used to come hang out at my house, it was like I didn't even exist anymore. I was like, damn, okay.
I just want you to know, Eddie, you're always welcome in the skeptic community.
Thank you. That's why I come here, because you guys are so great.
So what Eddie's trying to tell us is he's looking for a new gang to join.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to say, we have many intellectual conversations here. We're never going to stop having them, so we welcome
love you, Titan.
Balls.
That is great.
That's amazing, Titan.
Oh.
You should be getting rid of me right now if you want intellectual conversation, because
No,
you fit
we
right
like you,
in,
Cat.
Well,
Cat's
Cat, we
fine.
always need that person to ground us. When we get too far intellectual, you bring shit back around, and it's like, okay, let's settle down and stop being.
Eddie will start talking about different types of logic, and then our brains just.
Yeah.
Hey, Cat, do you want to be the grounder for the stream?
The next show is about fuzzy logic.
Or to keep Peter in line.
Oh, is that like fuzzy balls? So they're like trimmed but not completely shaved?
Kinda.
They're not. They're not properly manscaped.
Someone's got to stop Nick from talking at some point.
You see, now we're getting to true arguments about design.
Okay, so that's a good segue right there. That's one of the questions I have. That's one of the questions I have for God. What is the whole deal with the balls thing? I mean, it's like the weakest part of a man. The older you get, the more they get in the way. It's like that was such a horrible design.
Well, we could actually. It has to do with temperature regulation, man.
Right.
Sperm have to be kept higher at a higher temperature than the rest of your body.
That's unfortunate.
That's
and then
Pat's actually onto something. I read an article one time about men that wear whitey tighties and the problem they have with being
infertile.
Infertile, yes, and I was
balls are too warm.
Yeah, I was thinking at the time, I was like, well, it's a good thing I wear boxers. And then later
Eddie,
on, I was like, shit, might need to be wearing whitey tighties.
Eddie, are you sure it's not just because they've been driving cars in Saudi Arabia? Oh, wait, no, that's ovaries. Never mind.
Damn, Randolph, look at you dropping the bombs over here. I like it,
casting
though.
some shade, yeah. And
I didn't know we were going to dig on Islam tonight. I'd have been excited to join.
Listen,
is always
we
ready
are
to
an
take on
equal
Islam.
opportunity offender here. We'd like to blasphemy in every quarter that we can. Speaking of pseudonym, we are always accepting theists on this channel. Our theist brothers and sisters,
yes,
always
pseudonym,
welcome.
Please come back me up and help me.
That's right. Come back up, Eddie. I swear some theists don't come on this channel. That's what she said. Because we give them too much time. Neff comes on here with his Speedo run, and I don't mean like a hot wearing like a bikini. Neither does Jill and all the. I like the guy who won't talk with women. I find that hilarious. Jill,
it's Jill.
Yo. I could not, if you could not sum up, at least, I want to paint. I want to say just religion, but if I'll paint with as small as a brush, creationism as possible. It is that type of fucking Saudi Arabia shit that guy is doing. Oh no, you can't talk with the ladies because Daddy up there told me so. He's like, you can't mix.
Like the mama from Waterboy. Mama said women are the devil.
When you said Neff, are you talking about Nephilim Free?
I am. Like these guys come on here.
I made him rage quit on Discord the other night.
That does not surprise me, and it warms.
It's not hard to do.
I counted that as a win. Thank you guys. Screw y'all.
It is.
No. And so Eddie is like, God damn it! I saw that as a victory. And so, no, you probably wanted to have a conversation with him, but the problem with people like him, people like Darth, and a lot of these, they're not looking to have a conversation.
Who wants to debate atheism?
Real quick. Amy, is there somebody on your panel that has a 900-pound keyboard?
Done.
I don't have one.
So guy with the rainbows on the Kaaba, Mecca, as the meme.
Okay.
Sorry,
I just pray.
Wait, Oz. Wait, Oz. Let me see if I can duplicate that sound.
So what's it called? He has what the hell are they called? It's the exact same type of keyboard I have.
Mechanical keyboard.
Mechanical keyboard. Thank you. A clickety
What, you
clack.
got like brown keys or cherry reds? What the hell, man? You got some heavy ass fucking keys.
I'll be honest with you, Randolph.
Awesome.
I associate that with just getting my nails done and just sitting there like an old secretary and just clickety clack clack. And that's what now, if you're sitting there like a secretary, I'll then forgive you. But
I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie. It's called Up in the Air, and it has like George Clooney and Anna Kendrick in it. And there's a scene where they're both on a plane, and Anna Kendrick is typing on her laptop like really loudly, and he like comments on it, and she's like, "I type with purpose."
Purpose, meaning.
Just makes me
It's,
think of
it's
Grendel.
intentional. It's intentional, like my background.
Great movie, by the way.
I don't know. I
Which
do want to
movie
say
was it?
Up in the Air.
Up in the Air. I'll look that up. And I do
It's a
love
good
your
movie.
background. And then, oh, God damn it! That's so funny. I was gonna say I love your Jesus' myth. That is definitely that's a designed background. That's definitely designed. And Kat, you wanted to say something.
well,
Damn,
when it
Oz,
comes
that's awesome.
when it comes to talking to people like Nephilim Free or like G-Man, what you have to do with Nephilim Free, talk to
God.
him about baseball, right? Get him loosened up because the man can talk about baseball indefinitely. You can ask him any random fact about anything in baseball, and the dude will fucking spit it out like a goddamn computer. Same thing with like G-Man and like old wrestling and shit like that. You gotta loosen them up. You gotta really get them into the mood where they can talk and they're not in like attack mode.
So
Sorry,
You're
why would
talking.
anyone want
You
to
mean
get
you have
G-Man?
to
That's not-
foreplay? You're
Yeah,
saying
yeah, you
we
gotta
should
wine and dine
engage in
them.
foreplay.
Why
They're
why would anyone
expensive
want to get
escorts.
sorry,
It's-
why do you want to get G-Man
foreplay
in the
or
mood
you
for
just-
anything?
it's foreplay, or you're like, not even that. Like, skip the foreplay. Where like, just lube it up. And
Yeah.
get ready.
Yeah, you got to give him some soft, sensual loving, right?
Yes.
And-
Sensual love.
Okay, the
Yeah,
problem
and
is I
then
know
once they're
nothing
warmed
about
up, you can go
baseball.
hard.
Soft,
It's
sensual love.
Oz, you change that background right now.
What'd you say, Eddie?
Change that background right now.
What background?
See,
It's a
see,
message from God.
Yeah, Eddie.
Says that, the one that says Oz loves Eddie's balls.
No, Eddie, you got to understand. Oz isn't using a green screen.
see, I left before and you were talking about evolution and the existence of God and stuff. Cat comes in, and as soon as I come back, you're talking about lube and going in hard.
it's what I do.
It happens often on this channel.
Look, derailing the channel is not an exclusively cat problem. Let's face it, guys. Like,
Would you say that it's intelligently designed ASMR?
maybe. I don't think this channel was intelligently designed at all. What are you talking about?
Well,
Hey, that's
Not
off
to-
limits, man. No, that's not
not
cool.
to steal
That's
your
off limits.
guys' thunder. I'm gonna dip out. I have an early day tomorrow. I just wanna
Dip,
say-
you say? You were talking about dipping earlier. Okay, anyway.
Loser,
Hmm.
loser.
So and what I'll do is as I leave, I'll try to talk over the typing that will probably occur halfway through my exit. So no, but you guys take care,
Sorry-
and it's always
sorry,
fun.
I don't
The
do
intelligent
requests.
design. Fuck.
I love you, Pat.
You know, I thought people in
Adios.
Canada were like, yeah. You guys take care. Talk to you all later.
See you, Pat.
Night
Good night.
Pat sending loves. And I can't help it, but go check out our last episode of Talk Skeptic to Me with our special guest host, Pat Lowinger, on the historical origin of Halloween. Spooky. But all right.
What is it with
Ladies
white
and
girls and
gentlemen,
an obsession
we
with
have-
Halloween?
Look, can I tell you why? Clothing and candy. I mean, come
Yeah.
on now. Come on now.
That's all.
Accurate.
That's all it takes for white girls these days, huh? It's clothing and candy.
That
Vodka.
is generally all it takes for me in life. But yes, but that on a specific day when everyone is going to give an excuse for me to shove candy down my throats and dress up. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Once again, doesn't matter if it's pagan or all that crap. Sounds great. But we're going to go on for like 15 to 20 more minutes, and then we are going to wrap it up with our outros. And I hear you down there, Oz. It's all you.
Oh, I was just going to talk to you. White girl on Halloween.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
That's all they hear. It's glorious. It's glorious.
Is that the
not
white
just
girl
clothing?
music?
It's slutty clothing, not just clothing.
Was that the white girl music?
Look,
No, that's the sound that you hear when Titan dips his balls in glitter.
this is,
Those are magical
I didn't
girl
want to hear
transformation sound.
that's right. And look, on those nights, there is a magical social norm melting where the skirts can be just a little bit. And hey, it doesn't matter if you're chasing that 15-foot whale. Hey, pseudonym, I think you're going to be the last person that we're having in for discussion. I hope you are doing good as we midnight rant on the argument from design. Hope. Well, I was gonna say, do you want James or I'll do me either way.
No, you can move me to.
Oh, if you guys need somebody, I'll go. If you guys need somebody.
Oh, see, no, don't let the non-believer empathy is about to trigger. With that, we are about to get pseudonym in and send in love as we midnight ranting from the argument from design. Pseudonym, how are you and what are your thoughts?
Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate you. I love that you have a whole bunch of intellects on tonight, and then
oh, we do.
And then me. I know where that's going.
Right. No, I know. When you came in, I had a whole abstract that I was going to bring in, but you kind of made me forget completely what I was going to. The points that I was going to hit on.
That sounds like challenge accepted to me.
Because I myself, as a theist, I'm not a big fan of the ID argument, but it is interesting mainly because there, like Amy mentioned, there might be brute facts out there, even though I have my counter theists who may not completely agree with that. But as far as intelligent design, I think they mentioned mainly as a watch that you can pick up and say that it may be designed. And I would point that the next designer would be a human. But as far as looking at it as a natural aspect, it is interesting that there are like designs or architecture in like the animal kingdom. So you have termite mounds. Even the most interesting one that I can think of is kind of like a wasp nest, where they actually purposely make their honeycombs in a certain shape, and they still use numerology to kind of go from a 10, 8, 6, 4, and then counterpart to a 6, 8, 10 to complete the whole wasp nest. So even though we can take humans out of the picture, it almost seems like in a naturalistic aspect, you can still have some kind of design. And even though we might not say, or at least say that it's not intelligent, we can at least assume that something with a mindful aspect created, even like a nest, but then in a naturalistic aspect that it can be extinctual. So that I don't know if that's synonymous with the brute fact that in evolution it would have somewhat of an aspect of design, and if we can equivocate with animals as being somewhat intelligent, that we can, I guess, and even in an evolutionary aspect, we can consider that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think I got some idea of what he was saying, but I just wanted to say something about the like bee's nest thing real quick. The reason that bees design their honeycomb pattern with that design is because it's hexagons that are put together, and that's the best shape to have the maximum space for honey with the thinnest walls. So I just wanted to say that real quick. So
it is designed, but it's designed by bees.
Yeah.
But would you say that
they're
that's
smart?
Right. But would you consider that a bees being smart and them considering that to be a design to call that an intelligent design, even from
Yes.
a naturalistic aspect?
Yes. So I think we have to address the word naturally occurring here. So when we're talking about naturally occurring things, we're not including things that have been built by organisms. For instance, I think Matt Delahunty used the beaver dam example, where you have beavers that build a dam across a river, but there's naturally occurring dams that can form just from logs piling up and just the natural forces of sticks accumulating, then logs accumulating and rocks getting trapped, kind of thing. And the only real way to tell the difference between the two is to examine them and find out which one has been intentionally designed with the intent to make a dam by these animals, and which one is just the natural collection of debris. And so when we say natural as opposed to intelligently designed, we're talking about the difference between a mind being involved with an intent to make something, or as in natural, it's not. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but the weird thing is that you know that the mind came from a beaver. So I think that intent would come from
Well, you don't at first, because like I said, it can just occur naturally from twigs piling up and rocks piling up and logs piling up to make a dam. And there's, just because you look at it and go, oh, well, it looks like beavers piled it up, you can't say for sure until you go out there and actually look for the animals that did it and whether it has other marks of design in it. Just looking at it and going, oh, well, it's a dam, doesn't mean that it is a intelligently designed dam, or whether it's a dam that's the result of natural forces. Does that make sense?
Right, but in the end, once we discovered that a beaver made it, you can say that it was designed by an intelligent animal. So I think that you would bring in the aspect of intelligent design into evolution.
Right. Well, with that sort of analogy, what I'm asserting and what I believe is that we haven't found evidence of beavers. Right. We haven't found the evidence of God. So just sort of the argument from design saying, hey, it looks designed, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's designed.
No, I completely agree with you.
I'm still hung up on how we say something looks designed when,
sure, and that's another
again,
problem.
we don't infer design from, physical attributes of something.
Well, it's intuitively, we can sort of go this, like if you find one of the hags.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, don't.
Hey, it's a valid point. It's a valid point.
I'm just messing with you, Mark.
I know, you suck. It's if you find a hag stone, which is like a stone with a hole exactly in the center, you might intuitively go, that looks designed. But in actual fact,
you're getting into Dr. Flower territory there, where he was like, well, since you can't prove we're not brains in vats, you have to, by intuition, think that other people have minds, so therefore I can assume the entire Christian religion because you assume other people have minds.
Well, I mean, you've got to make
that's a huge leap.
Where did that
You've got to make some presuppositions.
Well, that's Dr. Flower.
Yeah, of course it came from Dr. Flower, of course. Something that name must have.
Oh,
but,
sorry. I thought you were addressing something here. My bad.
No, James was not actually making that argument. He's just pointing out something that somebody put in. And yes,
Dr.
I would
Flower
agree.
made that argument on our channel before.
You would have to presuppose certain things in order to just function in the world, kind of thing. I mean, if you're not willing to presuppose that your senses are true, like you're a brain in a vat, so if you can't presuppose that your senses are valid for a certain level of accuracy,
right,
then what am I listening to right now, and why should I even have a conversation at the moment? Everything just becomes pointless.
They should be the minimum number of assumptions we need to function and to be able to rationalize the world, though.
Right. So the more you presuppose,
presuppositions,
the more you
not assumptions.
Can I comment on what
That's
Leo
probably
said
the
a
more
second
correct
ago?
term, Leo.
I just wanted to sort of play devil's advocate and sort of try to answer the question of knowing that something is designed. I guess I sticking with the beaver dam analogy, I guess I would say that one way it would be seeing a dam where it looks like the logs have been carefully placed there versus a jumbled up pile of logs that seem to be haphazard. I think that'd be one way where it might look designed. It maybe not necessarily is, but that could be one way to tell. I'm not saying I think that's right. I'm just trying to answer the question.
Yeah, intelligent design is often the fallacy of the consequent.
False. You're a fallacy of the consequent.
And how did you reach that conclusion?
Straight out of my ass.
Oh,
Which was intelligently designed?
that's where they got the Bible.
Terribly intelligently designed.
So it's equally as inspired as the Bible.
Dirty thoughts.
Wow.
Expect nothing less on here.
I would say, I'm inclined to say you walked right into that one, but I think it would be more accurate to say you sat right onto that one.
Oh, this is getting out of hand.
Well, I guess I'm going to bring it back to CNN.
That was by admission, that was your hand.
Thank you, Mark.
Well, things with brains design stuff, right? Like this is what we're sort of saying. So I'm not getting, and I think Oz brought it up initially. He wasn't getting where because wasps design nests, because bees design things, because beavers design things, why that means that sort of organisms must be intelligently designed. I'm not getting the connect there.
I think there's intentionality and some type of agency would be.
But what tells you that? What? Oh, okay. So you're sort of, trying to, yeah, okay. But I don't understand where the link of logic is. How they conclude.
I agree with Mark.
Yeah. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I think that it would be argued that, that there is a something behind, what we're seeing. There is, whether it's, some type of agency or some type of intentionality, even if it's, instincts, or there's something there that actually created, that thing that exists. I think that's what they would argue.
That was kind of my way of kind of doing a little reductionist view of how to look at it, because you can take a broader view and say that the whole way that you're built or the whole way you are is a bad design. But God, if you can separate God apart from that, then you would essentially, if you don't believe in God, you would have to blame.
If anyone believes that there is a God that designed just us humans and how susceptible we are to disease and just being fucked up,
choking on our food.
Yeah. Like I literally, while you guys were talking, I just went to take a drink
amongst other things
of my alcohol, and when I just took a drink and I choked on the drink because I took too big of a drink, and it's like there's so many flaws, but then you start to bring in.
Sounds more like you don't know how to be human.
Yeah, I definitely don't know how to be human.
Well, the counter
I did say, hold on. I did say up front, from the tip top, I'm probably the least intelligent person on screen right now, and I never have a problem.
Hey,
no, I think Cat's got you beat.
Don't impugn me thusly, sir. You will be hearing from my lawyer about slander and libel charges.
With saying,
you guys realize that I'm blonde. You guys realize I'm blonde, right?
Oz, let me ask you this.
Of course, her lawyers will, so don't worry about it.
Hold on, I didn't get to finish.
He's Jewish.
I didn't even get to finish. Let me hold on. Let me finish. I'll be quick. With all of those flaws, if it is an intelligent design from a God that knows and understands everything, and I wouldn't even throw in the omnis. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to say it's a God that knows and understands what he's designing or what he or she or it wants, and it gets to create it exactly the way it wants it created, and it's this flawed and it's this fucked up all the fucking time. I'm calling bullshit every goddamn day. Every goddamn day I'm calling bullshit.
So let me ask you this, Oz. If
Twice on Sunday.
an engineer designs a wrench to do a specific job, and you take that wrench and you use it against what it was designed for, and you injure yourself, is it the engineer's fault or is it your fault?
Oh, great! That's a great attempt because the god or the supernatural, whatever, the being, the thing that does understand beginning to end, has foresight, and it sees in the future. It understands what's going to happen with the creation. That's different than let's say it's Eddie's tool company. Eddie's tool company doesn't understand how people are going to use that tool, 5 years from now or 10 years from now. They could use a wrench or a hammer that was created by your tool company to kill somebody, but you wouldn't know that because you're not the creator.
Well, actually, tools come with warnings on how not to use them because people do use them improperly. So if they give you instructions, they know that some people are going to use it improperly.
No, you're minimizing the fact that if you are an eternal creator, that you know from the beginning to the end how these things are going to operate. That's completely different.
Yeah, but that's assuming that. But what you're doing is you're totally removing free agency from it, and assuming that you're assuming determinism, that God should know exactly what every person's going to do, so he should design it in a way that nobody would ever be injured.
Oh no, I am. I don't believe in free agency. I don't believe in free will. As far as what.
Right. But it doesn't matter. Right, but it doesn't matter. But what you believe in, you're making a charge based on the position that you take. So it's begging the question. You're assuming determinism from the outset. So if free agency was true, then no charge that you bring against it is valid.
Plus, you're giving the creator the property of being all-knowing. If you do that, there could be a creator, and he doesn't necessarily have to be all-knowing. So.
But the one they're proposing,
we need a translator. I'm here.
So. Well, yeah. So what I'm saying, Oz, is you're taking a specific position of determinism, and you're applying that as if that's the only alternative, which is why it's begging the question. Because it is possible that free agency is true, and if free agency is true, then God, by definition, cannot make people do things.
But the problem here is the example that Oz specifically used was choking on his water as sort of the way the body's functions are incredibly fallible and inefficient. Alcohol, yeah, sorry. I wouldn't. Oz has never drunk water, only drinks alcohol. I'm terribly sorry, Oz, for impugning you like that. Anyway, so if you have a
bottom shelf, he's bottom shelf.
So what we're talking about is the standard functionality of the body. So if you have a wrench, and just when you pick up the wrench, the end falls off, that is an absolute failed design, right? And it doesn't matter that it just happens to one of them. It's still a failed design.
So if 99% of the wrenches hold up with no problem, but 1% the end falls off of it, is it a bad design?
Well, yeah, if the potential is there for the end to fall off the thing. So, you have cars being recalled because they don't meet up to
How is it a bad design if it almost always operates in the way it's supposed to?
Almost.
Right.
But they would have the ability to make it always.
Because we as humans
vehicles
antibacterial soap.
But here's the thing, Eddie, and I know you and I can't stand the literalist Christians, but this is where I get hung up with, I think, most Christians, because Either you believe that the God is flawless in his design, in his ways, and how he operates, or you don't. And
well,
when
then
we're
you're going to
talking-
have to define flawless.
how
Are you referring to a maximally great being?
Yeah, yes. If he is maximally great, thank you, Leo. Maximally great. He's capable of anything, and anything that he does or puts his hands to or creates or whatever is going to be exactly what he wanted. We have an issue.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we've got a bigger issue because we as humans can envision a better design, which means that God has designed something that is more competent than they are.
No, well, but we humans can't because we're at an epistemic restriction. We don't know in the
Why not?
past or the future what parts of like you're talking about, the esophagus or something like
Yes,
that.
all you do is separate the windpipe from the. There's other animals with.
Well, it
with
is
different...
separated, but the what I'm saying is we don't know what function in the past or what the repercussions are. If there's a designer and there's this, perfect balance to nature, how can we epistemically say that I would have done it like this? Kind of like the butterfly effect. If we change one thing, how does that affect everything else? We're not in an epistemic position to know that.
Really fluffy and vague, and
Can I
sort
jump
of
in here
your. Go, Leo.
Go ahead, Leo.
So the idea that if there were a maximally great being, that it would not possess the potential to fail. So if it were to create, say, it would be like, as an analogy, it would be like a literal perfect shipwright, a maximally great shipwright. It would be impossible for him to build a ship which leaks, because the very concept of being a maximally great shipwright essentially guarantees that everything that he creates would be perfect. For him, for there to be any failures in any ship he creates would intrinsically mean he's not a maximally great shipbuilder. However, the response that is commonly given to this, and the response that I think Eddie is giving here, is that of skeptical theism. How can we say that this is a flaw when technically God could have some form of justification for it? There could have been something in the past that justified its use that would thereby mean that God technically didn't fail with respect to that design, and so he can remain being maximally great, while there might be things that we see as failures. But what position are we in to judge whether something is the way it's supposed to be or not, or if it's better or worse when we're not when we're not in God's position?
But you can
And
say
I
that
will
about literally
say-
anything.
We got
first of all,
like
I
3 more
wanted to say-
minutes, guys.
Okay,
So
real quick, I
Eddie,
wanted to say
we can judge and we do judge.
Leo, that was an extremely fantastic steel man. And I wouldn't go as far as to say skeptical theism, because that applies more to, moral. I'm not really sold on skeptical theism as it comes to, moral odds or evil and things of that nature. But in a sense, that's kind of what I'm saying is finite creatures with a limited view, to say we have an epistemic position to know what all of these features, what the benefits are, or what the repercussion would be if we were to change them. And I don't disagree with you, Mark. I think that we can say, given our experience and given the difficulties with the human body and things like that, there seems to be, far better ways to achieve, balance or human life or something like that. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle. That's why I was, saying that I'm not totally sold on the design, intelligent design. Yeah,
this is one of
the
the reasons
question
why
Leo Filius asked about who are we to judge. The answer is we are free thinkers.
Yeah, and somebody said that to me the other day about like, who are you? It was after the last debate we had on our channel. Who are you to judge, and who are you to put God on trial, and who are you to ask those type of questions? And let me clear my throat. I'm me, motherfucker, and I will ask those questions, and I will put your goddamn God on trial, and I'll put your goddamn book on trial. Because why? I want the evidence. And if the God is real and the book is conveying truth, it will not dodge or run away from or fear the scrutiny or the investigation or the questions that I have to ask. Period. End of story. And if you don't like that, that means there's not truth, because truth does not fear investigation.
Oh, and real quick on that, I actually agree with you, Oz. I
And
think
Eddie,
that we
can I
have
just
to.
say, I know you're about to finish your point, but tell me when your point is done, because we are then going to roll into outros where everyone can get their final point.
Just 2
Why do you have to
seconds.
be so reasonable, Eddie? Come on.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, we are the ones that are discussing this. We are the ones experiencing reality. We are the ones who's questioning these things. And I think anybody that uses the excuse, who are you to question God, is nothing but a cop-out. We absolutely have the right to question. If moral realism is true and there are objective moral odds, why can't we judge God by those moral odds? Why can't, if we have all these objective features of reality and we're the ones contemplating this, then we absolutely have the right to question and ask these questions.
Oh, it's more than a right. It is natural.
And all right.
I just wanted to say I'm gonna just take off right now. So
well,
that way,
if that's the case, would you like any final thoughts, Leophilius, and to give a shout out to your channel?
I guess the thing that I would say is what Eddie was talking about is one of the reasons why I'm not really a fan of the bad design arguments when it comes to rebutting intelligent design, because the theist can always come back and just argue that God has some sort of justification for why it's that way, and that we just, as Eddie said, we simply do not have the epistemic access that God does to know what that justification is. So we can't really say that something is a good or a bad design. I think that there's better ways to attack the argument personally, rather than that. And it, depending on the variant of the argument given, and that's really all I had to say.
Hey, Leo, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, it was good talking to you again, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so very much, Leo. Go check out
Good night, Leo.
his
Take care.
channel down below, and he is going to start us off as we bring in the clowns. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to move into our outros.
The Super Straight Mimes.
Woohoo! What is up, dear pseudonym? Thank you for joining us once again as we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I hope you had a fun time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
As always, thank you for having me, Amy. I really can't be found anywhere. I just like popping in the channel here and there. I didn't really get to say much. I kind of hit a little bit of an iceberg before I hopefully blew up, I guess, a train of thought. But as a theist, I do appreciate the conversation, because it almost seems like we do hit a little bit of a standard of what design should be versus a bad design. And I think even contemplating a bad design such as an eye or a knee almost seems to say that there's no such thing as something that's designed appropriately. Even a clock watch that takes an appropriate amount of time to have kind of a universal time or time zones. But apart from that, I guess that would pretty much be my outro as far as explaining that.
Thank you, pseudonym.
Thank you so very much,
Good to have you on.
pseudonym. That's right, Sent in Love. Like I said, it is just awesome to get more theist perspectives on here, and we appreciate the conversation. So Sent in Love. And all right, we are moving right down the line. Kat, we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I hope you had a fun time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
If you find me, you've gone way too far. Turn around and go back the direction you came. You don't want to be in the hellhole I am. I am on YouTube, but don't try and find me. It's a bad idea.
Go back to AJ.
My final thoughts are Jihad Mumtaz Jadid. Hail Satan.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so very much, Kat, for joining us tonight. And all right, we're sending you hearts and moving
Thanks,
right
Kat.
down the line. As we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design, and the PR shtick, I guess, is intelligent design. But I hope you have been well. Where can people find you? And what are your final thoughts?
Well, what had happened was
Loves hyperhumanity. Get the hell out of here.
what had happened. What happened? What is Eddie talking about?
See, what had happened was.
What's Eddie talking about? Eddie loves him some hyperhumanity on the tickety talks. I guess that's more of an inside joke, but tart.live. So www.tart.live is our website, and you can find our YouTube channel there, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the things there, and we have a lot of big plans going into 2022. We're bringing some people on, and on the back end as far as helping supporting with graphic design, video editing, things like that, so we can get some more stuff out on the regular for our Patreons and our Google members and or memberships and all that. So definitely if you've not, go there and subscribe, and if you watch the content and you enjoy the content, we would love to have your support. And we do have last thing I'll say is April, May. Yeah, so in May we postponed. It was supposed to be October 9th and 10th, and we postponed it, but we're gonna have our first in-person conference with Seth Andrews and Anthony Magdabosco and others here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you
Amy might be making it.
You want to be there? Oh, that'd be badass.
I'm trying to figure out my way down there for better conversations and a better non-believer community, baby.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'll just say that like one of the things we didn't talk about it going into it on the original date because we wanted it to be a surprise, but now because we had to postpone it, like I feel like
because the Christians
to talk about it and tease it a little bit so people know, like, oh man, I can do that too. We actually plan on having our intent is to have several booths that people can sit down and either share their story or talk about their experience at the event, or they can just ask questions, and there'll be booths for all of those things, and whether they want it just to not be recorded or they're cool with it being recorded, we want people to have those experience, like those one-on-one experiences as well, and I think that's going to be a game changer, so to speak, from everything that I've learned so far with some of the other events or whatnot that goes on. But yeah, go to tart.live, and I'm done. Sorry for taking up so much time.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Oz.
Not at all. Sending so much love to the brother from another mother, Oz, and go check out Heart.live, because Tang Gang, yo. Woohoo! And also because I have to see it every time he is here now. Hashtag Jesus is a myth.
Jesus is a myth, and Eddie loves hyperhumanity.
Oh, snap.
I don't know which one's worse.
And all right, sending so much love, Oz, and we are moving right down the line as we're having so much fun as we have been midnight ranting on the argument from design. But Atheist Jr., how are you doing? I hope you had a good time tonight. And where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts? Intelligent design, eh?
You can find them in the 1980s. See that background?
But why no Hawaiian shirt?
I was thinking Miami.
Oh,
Vice.
I do own a Hawaiian shirt. I'm just not wearing it right now.
Oh
so
my.
I just wanted to say a few things. Like, I think it's been a really great discussion and a lot of fun. I'm not going to go over the intelligent design arguments because I'd rather take this time to talk about my channel and some stuff I have coming up. So I'm going to be attending Faithless Forum in Austin, Texas. I'm going to be there on Saturday the 20th. And I'm going to try and catch as many of the panels as I can. And then I'll be at the after party on Saturday night. And Sunday morning, I'll be there too. It's been a while since I've been on Midnight Ranting because I've been really busy with my channel. Last month, I had my collaboration video with Paulogia come out.
Oh, yeah.
Dinosaur Scandal Land 2021. And that video is now at 125K views, which is just crazy to me. After that video came out, I went from 500 subscribers to 1,000 in one day. And I'm now at almost 2K. I was able to monetize the channel.
We're so happy for you, AJ. You couldn't happen to a better channel. You deserve it.
I'm not. I am upset.
Oh, wow.
I am personally offended.
I did a stream today that had 88 concurrent viewers, and I had like 10 super chats come in.
I was there.
The growth has just been crazy. But I actually got started on YouTube by coming on this channel.
Yeah,
Amy's live stream was the very first open mic I ever did.
Yeah,
and
you don't remember?
That was in February of this year, which is
I remember
crazy.
that too.
That was in February of this year, which is
That was
crazy.
amazing. We started it all, baby.
I have to say thank you to Amy and Jane for helping me get my channel out there when I had like 11 subscribers. So I'm on Twitter at Atheist Jr. I obviously have a YouTube channel. You could just search for Atheist Jr. And I have a Patreon page that now has 16 patrons. And that's at patreon.com/Atheist Jr. So that's all. I'm done.
Hell
Thanks, AJ.
yeah.
I think I was subscriber 35 back in the day, but it's been a great ride.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
James just said, I am just happy that we have spawned something because I think your content is so funny. And let me tell you, Kent could never have a better person to whack him back. Let's just say that. So send in
AJ
hearts,
needs whacked badly.
Miss Junior.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And all right, we're gonna move right down the list, but sending many hearts.
Wait. Can we get Atheist Jr. to say Kent Hovind to go to jail?
Kent Hovind, go to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 and take Matt Powell with you.
No, I want my husband back, damn it.
Oh, Matt Powell.
You can have
is
conjugal
another
visits.
one.
2 years ago.
And we are about to go into Wild Heart, but I do have to say, I learned about Matt Powell recently, and oh my lordy, another one of these.
What an asshole.
Whew, some of them, it is just like that whole, I hate to say Christian love, because we had such two fine other theists with us tonight. But
No, it's
my
okay.
lordy,
You can call it what it
people like,
is.
oh my goddess, people like Matt Powell. Whew. But yes, he's another one, just like
Matt Powell and Ken Hovind, 2 peas in a pod, right?
It's the opposite technique to Darth Dawkins, where they will say what their mind is, but they are assholes. Where Darth Dawkins is trying to pretend and not say what's on his mind, and he is an asshole. So it goes there. You get to the same formula either way, but they both have
Goes
different
both ways, right?
methodologies. Exactly, goes
They
both
go
ways.
both ways.
Honestly, James,
I hope he does.
that's the moral of my story, is just going both ways.
We know you
Exactly,
do, Pat. We
Pat.
know you do.
That's all right. Going right back down the list, Wildheart, I want to thank you for joining us in your first time here. I hope you had a fun time on this Midnight Ranting, the argument from design, where I hope we had some design good fun. Where can people find you?
Thank you very much, Jamie. It's the first time we've spoken, so I want to thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun. Basically, I've got a channel.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. I do the streaming every day, a lot of the time. Like, I'm trying to get it to 24/7. But if you just search for Wild Arts again on YouTube, that's it basically. And I'm actually live streaming now, so if anyone from this stream or anyone watching wants to join the stream, that'd be great as well. That's it. That's all.
Hi, internet.
Thank you, Bob.
And all right, in fact, before just got that set up. If you would like to see where that stream is, and let's get him that sexy 100 subs so he can get Wildheart as the name.
50 will do, yeah.
Woo-hoo.
That's brilliant.
Oh, God, you're catching up to me?
Again.
Oh, hey, Cat, you get me that
He's
link
way
in
past
chat? I can't help it. I love shilling for the non-believer community and even the theists on this channel, because they tend to be mensches. And, unlike, in my opinion, very biased, but as the very fundamentalists tend to splinter over scriptural differences, the non-believers are just like, you believe this, you believe that. You want to get a beer? And thus we cross-pollinate, baby, and send in hearts. Just like with Atheist Junior channel, who we are sending hearts to. Let's get Wildheart, his channel, right down below. And all right, with that, we are moving along and sending love. Speaking of theists that we love, Eddie, we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I feel like a specific design is on someone's mind. And so with that, I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, I was hoping Oz would have seen the thumbnail earlier, but I guess he didn't. Yeah, Amy, I absolutely love coming on here. Everybody here has been extremely charitable. That's one of the things I love about coming on here. Leo and Mark and even with Oz, I love his practical approach. He said, as he said, he's not into all these different arguments and things, and spends a lot of time there, but he brings very good questions, very good objections.
Always.
And I think it's extremely important to, hear from people like Oz, and those, because we, a lot of times people who interact with these arguments and things, we spend a lot of time amongst ourselves and, not getting more of a average kind of person objection to it. And I don't mean that in any disparaging way. Oz has come a long way, and he's learned, a lot of things, and I'm super encouraged by his growth. And but anyway, It's been fantastic. You guys are great. I as far as the argument, it's a terrible argument. I don't. It's not one I adhere to. It's not one I use. It's not one I find compelling. I think there are aspects of it that may, you know, make some people lean that way. But I think it's one of those that if you presuppose a God or presuppose a designer, then you'll see design in a lot of things. I think if we just stand outside and evaluate it, you know, given human psychology, we look for patterns, we look for engineering, we look for these kinds of things. And I think it's hard to, you know, have some kind of symmetry breaker between, you know, human psychology and then, you know, having this epistemic position that these things are designed. Given all the objections that Mark and others have brought, I think they're fantastic objections to it. But other than that, anybody who wants to follow me, I interview a lot of academics. I've had Dr. Richard Carrier, Dr. Graham Oppie. I've got Greg Kokel coming on, Stephen Law, Luke Barnes, the one I mentioned earlier with the fine-tuning argument. I'm at brutefacts.com or brutefacts on YouTube.
You had Pat on your show?
There. I've had Pat on the show, yes. Pat was on there with Dr. Richard Carrier and Dr. Josh Bowen. We did a special that was actually sponsored by the Society for Antiquarian Studies for science in the ancient world. And it was an extremely fun and informative show.
It was a good show, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, anybody that you know wants to follow me or follow a rational Christian, one who doesn't buy into all the fundamentalist garbage, you can find me at brutefacts.com, brutefacts on YouTube.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you so very much for being here, Eddie. We are sending you love as always.
Thanks, Eddie.
And all right, we are heading right down the line before we head over to Discord for some more skeptical fun. But Mark, we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. I hope you had a fun time tonight. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
It's always a fun time, and I've had my daily ball quota from Amy's channel. It's always fantastic. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening, and James, Amy, Randolph, Wildheart, AJ, Oz, Pat, Leo, and Kat. And I'd like to especially thank Eddie and Pseudonym, who were the theists on here. And I just want to mention how incredibly difficult it is to go onto a panel and you have people, you know, atheists shooting questions at you and stuff like that. And you know, full props for hanging in there. And, you know, I love talking with you guys. I love talking with Eddie. He's absolutely fantastic. So if you do want a great, you know, if you are a theist and you want someone to follow, Eddie's fantastic. I really highly recommend him. I've had great conversations with Eddie. Just on the last thing about intelligent design, and I gotta you know, fire shots at Leo on the way out and sort of say he sort of objected to the whole you know, bad design concept. I'm fine with that argument. I think that sort of going, well, you know, sort of a deity knows what's good and it might not be good now. I feel from my point of view, like that's sort of affirming the consequent. It's like saying, well, if you know, if there's a God, then things will work out to be well designed in the future, and so if something does turn into something useful that's badly designed, then that affirms God, kind of thing. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I personally think all of these things are better explained, and for my money, where I would place my bets is that we've got systems that do evolve and change throughout time, and these piecemeal systems come together to make a merge into other properties. And so we have these systems built up, but they're flawed in the way that we find that natural development of things are flawed. And that's where I would put my belief, because that's what it suggests to me. So, my opinion of intelligent design, it's got a number of flaws, which, Eddie, to his credit, he's willing to sort of say, here's the flaws as well. I realize they're there. And that shows a great, able to entertain the flaws in your arguments is one of the traits of a really good mind. But yeah, I thank you. I've had a blast, and thank you so much, everybody. I have been away.
Again, Marty.
Yeah, I just got to the end of semester and I did that. I don't know if you've ever been in university or had projects or whatever, but I did the calculation of how long this project is going to take versus how much time I've got left, and it's just been, oh dear, I better devote all of my time to my studies. So my priorities sort of kicked in and went, yeah, I gotta just get this done. I think hopefully I'll have some debates coming up. I'm usually not really running my own channel. I'm more just debating here, and occasionally I'm on Modern Day Debate. I do a few things here and there, but nothing massive. I think somebody's been pestering Amy for a debate with me, so I'm more than happy to do that. Now I have time for prep and things like that. It'd be fantastic.
Bible count for the win.
Yeah, so that's one that he's been messaging me on a sort of, tri-weekly basis kind of thing, like 3 times a week, just wanting me in the ring. So, watch out, he might actually get it. So hopefully we can sort that out, and then, that'll be a lot of fun. But I'm very keen now that I've got a bit more time. So, we'll see how that goes. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you coming on, supporting Amy, supporting James, supporting everybody on here. It's been a blast.
Thank you so very much, Mark. And
oh boy,
and we will be getting Mark on Debate Me Brah again, because we have biblical account for the win already throwing down the gauntlet. I have I had 2 comments, but Randolph says Matt Powell would probably feel offended if he ever sang "Oh my goddess" coming out of my mouth.
No doubt about that.
And I like to daydream about that. Also, with
I think Matt Powell would be offended by most things.
I recommend Night Ranting.
That is probably true.
I daydream different things about Matt.
Oh my.
Oh my.
I will say I've seen
your.
that on those versions of Pornhub. What are we talking about anyway? Atheist Junior, it says, are you going to be in offline chat for a little bit? We are heading into Discord once the outros are done at the Skeptic Ranting Discord. Because, woohoo! That's right. Look, a lot of things go out, a lot of things go in. I love you. Hells yeah. Look, sometimes you need to deal for 15 foot. Well, whoop whoop. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. And we have been Midnight Ranting on the argument from design. Just a few more down the list as we head out, but it has been fun. And with that, I am going to hand it over to the one and only godfather of atheism, Randolph Richardson. I hope you enjoyed this
it just got
lovely design good time. And where could people find you? What are your final thoughts? And what are your feelings on tacos? Okay,
I think I'll mention where you can find me at the end. Who are you to judge? This is a question that does come up from time to time. with particularly Christians asking me this, or Muslims as well. This is primarily from these two groups. I find it most common, and I really like how Oz summed it up better than I did when he said, "I am me." The only clarification I could think to emphasize from that would be to encourage people to say, "I am my own master." Be your own master. That's it. You don't need some deity to be your master, or some cult leader or something like that. Just do as Oz said, I am me. That's the attitude. That's the right way to go about it. And I think that is such a simple and right to the point response to such a ridiculous question. So we are free thinkers, naturally, at least. And why shouldn't we judge? If we don't judge things in life, we could find ourselves in great peril much more easily. So the same goes, judging people, whatever. Now, keeping the judgments to ourselves is usually a smart thing to do in many cases, but there are times when we should speak up about it. So, yeah, be your own master. That's what I recommend. I want to mention briefly about Remembrance Day in Canada. Here, November 11th every year, we have Remembrance Day, which started here just a little over 2 hours ago. So Midnight Ranting went right through midnight again, as it should. Thank you for hosting this, Amy. I'll just mention briefly, Remembrance Day is a day for all Canadians to remember the women and men who served and sacrificed for our country. And we've been doing Remembrance Day ceremonies every year as a major, way of honoring the past people since 1931. We do this every year, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. We gather in memorial parks, community halls, workplaces, schools, homes, and to stand in honor for all who have fallen. It's an important thing to do, and we want to make sure that people aren't forgotten. Special appreciation goes to the Royal Canadian Legion. I have great appreciation for everyone who serves, and this is the kind of day that we thank for that. We very often normally wear a red poppy. Mine's in the vehicle, and I don't want to exit the stream to go get that, but we have I will be wearing it throughout the day, and I do wear the red poppy on random days throughout the year. People will say, "Hey, it's not Remembrance Day," and I said, "I know that," and then it takes a moment, and then they say, "Oh yeah, actually that's a good idea, I should wear it from time to time as well," and I just pick random days for it, but November 11th is not one of the random days. So thank you very much. Next topic, I do have an upcoming stream on the Bicurian broadcast on November 18th, and it's at 18:30 or 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and the topic will be an atheism primer. So I'm going to be talking about atheism on that show. Surprise, surprise. But the topics change a little bit from time to time. This will just be a live interview, as I understand it. I am looking forward to it. I've never been on this program before, and the people running it seem very, very nice. I will be announcing this YouTube channel on Twitter and Discord and wherever else I can in probably today or tomorrow, and promoting it. So I hope people will enjoy tuning into that. And for ways to reach us. So we have made recent changes to the Canadian Atheist Discord Guild, or as a lot of people call them, servers. You can reach it very easily at discord.canadianatheists.ca, and that will take you to the invite link automatically. A lot easier than typing their string of random letters that come up. Or you can go to our website at www.canadianatheists.ca and click on the contact page, and you'll find a link to Discord from there as well. You can also find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Randolph828, and Randolph is spelled with an F, not a PH. No matter what autocorrect tries to tell you otherwise. Amy, thank you very much for hosting these streams. They are a lot of fun and quite informative. The conversations tonight were really high class and very, very interesting, very insightful. Thank you to everybody who's here, and thank you to everyone tuning in the audience.
Thanks for coming, Randolph. We
Thank you
appreciate it.
so very much.
Just quickly,
Godfather of atheism.
sorry, just quickly, Remembrance Day is actually the same day in Australia, and I think another couple of countries as well. So,
Excellent.
just fun fact. Yeah, it's not just Canada; it's a lot of countries.
Here's a salute to Remembrance Day to you.
Salute to Remembrance
Salute.
Day. Thank you again, Randolph, for coming on. Good to see you again.
Hearts to both of
We love
you on both of Remembrance Days.
And thanks for
I like
mentioning that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
No worries.
And if there's ever any good food at any of these holidays, I will celebrate it with you.
Oh, one thing, if anybody's producing atheism content, this applies for everybody, including you, Amy. The Canadian Atheist Discord, we have a promote content channel that a number of people do follow, and you feel free to post all your videos in there before they come up or as they go on live. There are quite a few people doing this already, and it'll be great to have this as a central place where people can do this. We've recently seen an increase in our membership numbers there, and they're just scrolling across the top of my screen is discord.canadianatheists.ca to get in there. So thank you very much, and I will be joining Amy's Discord for a short time after this as well. So because Amy has her own Discord also.
That we do, Randolph.
Thank you so very much, Randolph. That's right. We have a Skeptic and Ranting community Discord. Feel free to join and post those memes or have a good old classy conversation like we have been doing tonight. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Put away that box wine and get the good stuff. And with that, thank you so very much, Randolph.
Thanks, Randolph.
And we are handing it to James, the pilot, really. I am handing it, land that plane, baby. We have been Midnight Ranting on the Argument from Design. The fun is all yours, James.
Well, thanks, guys. What a great panel. Yeah, what a high-class, high-end, very intellectual discussion. So I just want to thank everybody for participating. I do want to point out we did just do a podcast a few days ago on the concept of falsifiability, which I think plays into this a lot because, sure, you can pontificate and you can make up reasons or excuses or unfalsifiable things that kind of defend bad design and maybe kind of bolster this teleological argument, but they're untestable, unfalsifiable, so they're essentially useless. If you really want to cling to them, you can, because hey, they're not falsifiable. But if you're looking for real insight into how the universe works, it's probably not the best way to go. But thanks, guys, and have a great night. What a great stream, guys.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Thank you so very much, James. And all right. With that,
Box wine it is, Amy. Box wine.
That's right.
We're bottom shelfing with Oz.
Bottom shelfing. Look, it's better than the stuff I normally make in the tub. So, anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us on this Midnight Ranting argument from Design, where tonight we discuss the argument from Design, or the teleological argument for the existence of God. I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guests, a full deck tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Randolph, Mark, Eddie, Wildheart, Pat, Atheist Jr., Leophilius, Oz, Cat, and Pseudonym. Woo! Along with the people in chat,
That's a
our
full day.
awesome mods who make the stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who even make this channel possible. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to like, follow, or subscribe. And then hit that bell icon so you can join our live streams. Hi, interwebs. After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. So come join us for more fun. Or hey, leave a comment once.
I thought you were going to say the link of fire.
Was it as good for you as it was for me? The link of fire. That's a different song, but I sung it like that anyway. Or, hey, leave a comment once the video's done. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more content, we offer unique perks. Hey-o, for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.